How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Hey, it's time for Group B here for ASL 19. Pretty much every time we do these casts, guys, for StarCastTV, there's not going to be any music going on at this portion of the intro. We're not going to be able to play any of these sounds because there's going to be copyrighted music and that sort of thing. And this needs to be uploaded directly to StarCastTV's channel on YouTube, so that could be a problem. So generally, when we do these, this portion is going to be totally muted, and then it's going to have the game sounds come in once the games get started. But it seems like we're still having some technical difficulties with the IP address and getting that clean stream activated. But hopefully we'll have that here soon. Today, though, no in-game sounds, guys. If you want to pop open the Soup live stream, it's on the same platform as you're watching this right now. If you're watching live on SCTV EN, you guys can open that up and watch at the same time. That way you can have the Korean sounds and you can have our casting over it as well. Just a heads up, though, just for now, we won't have the game sounds, but we are going to have that soon. Xun, how are you doing today, buddy? You excited for this group?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic, and this is one of the groups that I was really looking forward to. I think it has a lot of potential for upsets. My money would be on Rush and Royal, of course. They both have very impressive records in Terran versus Terran, and they're both really strong in that respective matchup. However, Speed is like this up-and-coming modern Terran. Maybe he can get some upsets, a win on the board against Hyun as well. He's got a very high record against Zerg, so maybe you can take him out, and if you can just somehow figure out a build order or a sneaky way of taking a game of Rush and Royal here, he's going to be able to squeeze his way through to the round of 16. But my money would still be on Rush and Royal. They're just so solid in this matchup.
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited for Speed as well. I've been casting a huge amount of games from him on the channel. He has been tearing it up on the ladder, but this is a completely different beast. He's only been on the Africa TV stage or the ASL stage a couple of times, and we'll see if he can perform tonight, man. I have high hopes, especially after we watched last week, or sorry, not last week, yesterday, with Scan doing as well as he did. This is my other guy. This is my other Terran player that I'm really cheering for. Speed, he's over there on the far right, aka Sexy, aka 10-minute Flash. Yes, he's changed his ID a whole bunch, but he's leveled up incredibly in the past year.
And the 10-minute Flash ID does kind of give you an idea of what this guy was like. He was able to play like Flash for the first 10 minutes of the game, a bit of an optimizer style player, and trying to, use fast attack timings to overwhelm his opponents before it got to the late game phase. Although he has upgraded himself and he's much more of a well-rounded player these days, he doesn't have much of a showing during the Kesper era. He got knocked out in WCG Korea 2009 against Fantasy 02, but besides that, he's not really played at all for quite some time. It's only in these recent years you've seen this guy like rise from the ashes like a phoenix and start to soar. Hopefully he can go all the way to at least the round of 16 here and show us more great games. He is such an incredible modern Terran, and his approach to the game is much more aggressive and mechanic orientated, using fast task switching abilities to overwhelm his opponents. He has such an impressive win record against Zerg. Inversely, though, Hyun, his weakest matchup is against Terran. I'm feeling for this guy. I feel like he's definitely the odd man out in this group is Hyun. He's going to have to dig deep because I don't know how he's going to navigate his way against these three exceptionally capable Terrans.
Yeah, I don't have any hopes here for Hyun, considering it's his worst matchup, and all of these Terran players are insanely good against Zerg. Especially Speed, especially Rush. Those guys are just absolute killers, but Royal as well. There's a very small chance that Hyun gets out. I assume he's going to be going out first, and we're going to see a ton of TVT tonight.
Yeah, we're going to have at least probably 3 TVT games, unless somehow Hyun can get more games under his belt by not getting eliminated 2-0 here. It's pretty much going to be like 3 Terran versus Terrans and maybe a couple of Terran versus Zergs here. Still not too bad though. It would be kind of crazy if it was 4 Terran players. Maybe that'd be a little bit too much. But with Hyun balancing things out, only having best of 1 to cast, it should be a pretty dynamic group here, despite being mostly Terran versus Terran.
TVT has become a much more dynamic matchup in the past a couple of years. It used to be that we would see long tank lines get set up, the map gets split in half, and then the 2 Terran players battling for some of the last bases on the map. Then we had a period of time where it was just pure vulture play and just vulture on vulture, everybody fighting in the early game, trying to overwhelm each other with the vulture play and just vulture battles all over the map. Finally, things have started to settle down though, to where things have become way more dynamic. There are still vulture aggressive plays. There are still plays where you set up long tank lines and try to split the map. But in general, there's a lot more action that can take place. There's a lot more swings that can go back and forth. People are able to break tank lines way better, for example, than they used to be able to. They're much more confident in doing that, especially before +2 comes online. So there's going to be a lot of movement. Not very many of these games go to BCs, I imagine. At least today, for sure.
Right. Yeah, in the best of 1's, probably very unlikely to see too many BCs, maybe one of the games. Someone like Light, you might see more of this kind of shenanigans. He's a much more reactive Terran versus Terran style, like to sit back and kind of read his opponent, whereas these 3 guys are much more aggressive, harassment orientated, especially in that mid-game phase. We'll probably be seeing a lot of dropships sharking around the map, trying to exploit positional advantage of where the tanks are not evenly distributed. So I imagine we're going to be seeing a pretty high octane fueled Terran versus Terran series between these guys. I doubt it's going to be just sitting back and macroing up.
For sure, guys. The studio right now where they are, it's not the normal studio, by the way. I want to mention that this is not the Jamsil Station studio in Lot World. This is the old studio where a lot of StarCraft 2 events took place. It's a little bit of a smaller studio. It's been hard for some friends out there who have been trying to get in to buy their tickets. It's quite packed. I do have some people in my Discord and on Patreon who had a hard time picking up tickets for day number 1, but I think everybody's gotten in for this day number 2. Not as many, bright shining stars here, not as many streamers in this group. These guys are a little bit less popular, and honestly, TVT, unfortunately, a bit underrated right now. Not a lot of people want to come out and see this group.
Yeah, that's true, Saiyan. One thing I would like to point out is that Royal's championship in the ASL Season 14 was actually against Rush, and he 4-2'd him. So Royal does have a precedent of overcoming the likes of Rush, despite Rush being such a capable and solid Terran player. I'm curious to see how these 2 players stack up now against one another. My money would probably still be on Rush and Royal getting out of the group, but you never know. I mean, Speed is a modern up-and-coming Terran who's very capable. Hyun is also a little bit of a sleeping snake right now. Like, you never know. You might just wake up and bite one of these guys on the neck and take them out as well. It's definitely possible, despite it being his weakest matchup.
Well, we'll have to see. Hyun, he's there, looking a little bit skeptical in the middle. I'd love to see Hyun go deep. And, take a couple of wins here. That means we get more ZVT. ZVT is always fun.
Yeah. We're seeing at least 2 of those Terran versus games at the bare minimum. Hopefully Hyun can at least take 1 game to spread that out a little bit so we can see him for 3 and keep the race distribution a little bit more balanced during these matchups. I really wish we could hear what these guys are saying. You guys are going to have to tune into another cast which has the translations. I believe Tastosa's cast will, even though it's coming out a few days later, will actually have some of the translations for you guys to enjoy if you want to go back and listen to what they were saying during the group stages at the bare minimum.
Yeah, always fun to watch the group selections, but that'll be coming up after this round, after these initial group stages, once we get set for the round of 16. Some people are asking, will there be in-game sound today? I already mentioned this, but we don't have the in-game sounds, so if you want to open up a secondary tab, bring up the ASL official cast, the Korean cast, then you can listen at whatever volume is suitable for you. We should have the clean stream up either this week or next week for sure. Just having a problem with the IP. Some sort of IP address problem is currently happening right now. I'm not exactly partial to everything that's going on in Soup. I've just been connected to Soup recently through StarCastTV, and so we're getting the opportunity to do this cast, but we're gonna have to bear you're gonna have to bear with us for now. We're gonna continue to do our absolute best to increase the quality of each and every cast. I think there's a pretty significant quality increase in the overall picture quality today, but you guys can let me know in the comments as well, and what else we can do to make this cast a little bit better for you guys.
Yeah, the picture definitely seems a little crisper today, so I can at least testify to that. Obviously, it's a little bit of a letdown not having that sound. We can only do so much, and we got to kind of follow the law and policy. But as soon as we can bring you those in-game sounds, we'll be happily providing you that clean stream. Hopefully, in the coming group stages before the round of 24, I imagine it'll at least be by next week at the very latest. Hopefully, but I can't say for sure. I'm super excited for this, though. I really do want Speed to somehow cause an upset here. I was eyeballing this group as the biggest potential for an upset and thinking, hang on a minute. I mean, Speed's pretty good in TVZ. If he can snag a game against Hyun and then just find some way of taking out Royal or Rush here, he can actually break through.
Absolutely. And, Royal's been lagging a little bit behind the pack recently. He's been slowing down a bit. He hasn't been performing quite as well as he used to. Rush also beatable. He's not like Light or someone who's really super solid TVT. He is very good, but if something goes wrong, he could absolutely get knocked out of this group. It's totally a possibility. Last group, Group A, we were completely sure that Mini was going to make it through. Basically 100%. Am I right, Xun? Pretty much. Yeah. 100% sure that Mini was going to make it through. Rush here, not totally 100%, so we'll see how he performs today.
Yeah, I'd put his chances at around 90-ish% on getting through here. There's enough wiggle room for Speed to just put a wedge in this group and somehow squeeze his way through with a 2-1 record. I doubt he'll beat both Rush and Royal, but he's just got to take one of these guys out. And like you say, they haven't necessarily been performing at a championship tier of play as of late. We'll have to see exactly what kind of caliber of game they can bring today. My money still will be on Rush and Royal, but my heart is telling me that I want Speed to make it through this group.
I'm exactly the same way. I don't have much hope for Hyun. As we were talking about before, his worst matchup is this Terran matchup, so very unlucky to get placed in this fully stacked Terran group. We're going to be watching some TVT here momentarily, guys. Get hyped for the round of 24, Group B. It's all kicking off here. Yesterday was insanely hype. If you haven't seen that, if you missed out on yesterday, oh my goodness, go back and just watch that. It's so damn good.
I mean, damn, what a way to start the tournament. I don't think either of us could have hoped for a better series of games. And Scan actually making it through. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I wanted to almost do like mental backflips off the wall after that. It was kind of crazy, especially after actually pretty strong showing against Mini. Like, it wasn't like Mini just completely decimated him. There was actually a window there for Scan to make something happen. If he'd just been able to task switch a little bit better back at home, managing his 2 tanks and the natural expansion against that Reaver while executing that timing attack, he actually probably would have killed Mini. So it's kind of wild how well Scan has performed here recently. I'm super excited. Maybe, just maybe, that guy could even get out of the round of 16. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh yeah, and the way that Com played as well. Unfortunately, he's been knocked out, but getting to see him play in the round of 24 was awesome. Here they are, our players. Rush is on stage. He looks locked in, man. Look at that.
Yeah.
Death stare. That man is completely 100% ready for this upcoming bout. His opponent had better bring something special. Rush is an absolute beast. Somebody mentioned in the comments that Rush lost to Royal in ASL Season 14. Let me tell you, this is not ASL Season 14. We are here in ASL Season 19, and Rush has continued to improve. I don't know if Royal is still capable of knocking him out.
Now we'll have to wait and see how that transpires. We see Hyun over here getting ready for game number 1. This is his weakest matchup, but he's against Rush, and I mean, Rush, he is a very solid Terran, but he doesn't always perform the most consistent against Zerg. So I'm wondering if there's just some way that Hyun's got this like genius plan for Rush that he can somehow throw a wrench into the clockwork of Rush to really disrupt him in this series. He's gonna have to dig deep and find something. I don't think he's just gonna beat Rush in a straight up macro game. He needs to find some kind of early shenanigans, or at least some kind of interesting tech path or mind games to help put himself into a favorable position against this guy who looks like an absolute Terminator.
All right, guys, I'm gonna turn off the Terran music. You guys can turn on the stream if you guys want to watch it and have the in-game music that is available to you. Otherwise, you could just listen to both of our wonderful deep voices. Actually, we're not bass boosting or anything like that. We had some people accusing us of doing that.
He's the same filmers as you, right?
Yes, Xun, that's his natural voice, guys. It's just
yeah.
He's just a British bloke, so he has that natural verbato or verbatim. What the heck?
I don't know.
Help me out.
Whatever. Baritone or whatever.
Baritone, something like that. All right, we're getting into game number 1 here. Let's go. Rush is going to be the red Terran down in the bottom left. And we've got Hyun over here at the top right, blue Zerg. So it's going to be a little hard to see plagues if they end up going down on these Terran units. But hopefully the quality is really nice and you guys will be able to see everything pretty crisp and clear otherwise.
Yeah. Looks like Hyun wants to be a little bit delicate in how he scouts with this Overlord. You see it moving south to his expansion before going cross map. So wants to make sure maybe an 8 racks doesn't just kill this for free. And it also looks like maybe he wants to make sure there's no craziness coming his way. He might be looking on a path to scout out a proxy racks as well. There are a few interesting places you could proxy racks on this map. He definitely wants to be delicate with this Overlord. And if you do fly it towards the south here, there are some routes of safety. You can run the Overlord and force the Marine to have to go all the way around to the other lane to kill it. So it is safer to keep the Overlord on this side of the map a little bit here.
Yeah, losing that first Overlord would be absolutely brutal, and there's a lot of open space to traverse in order to get over that natural. The obvious best place to have your Overlord to see everything that's coming out of that natural. Things like early game Naked Marine move-outs have become so popular. It's such a deficit if you're not able to get full vision of that area, but by the same token, it's become really, really strong to get out there and try to snipe that early Overlord and prevent that scout from ever happening. So we'll see if Hyun goes the long way all the way down to the bottom and then along the bottom to keep himself safe, or if he wants to traverse along these high grounds on the bottom side of that middle lane and maybe take a risk, try to get that Overlord into position a little bit sooner.
My imagination is that he's been metagamed in practice enough with losing this Overlord that now he does this pathing to be absolutely safe and guarantee not losing that Overlord. Scouts are going to meet identical times, but it's actually 2 SCVs coming. So it does look like a bit of a fake bunker rush here coming in from Rush. So I wonder if he's going to overreact. He has cancelled the gas. He assumes this is going to be some kind of like cheese, but it's actually not. Like, he's just 11 racks. There's nothing coming from Rush, and Hyun's kind of overreacted a little bit by cancelling this gas, because to be optimal against 8 racks, you'd want to not mine the gas, and if you can, cancel it so you've got more drones to fight and more mining minerals. So it's actually a little bit of a mind game that's paid off quite huge here for Rush in the early game by forcing him to not get that gas so early.
Ooh, and he sent out an additional drone. Was he thinking about taking a third right off the bat? Or is he just trying to check and make sure there's not some sort of weird proxy or something over here? Looks like that's going to be blocked for now. He cannot throw down this third hatchery. Maybe he needs to drop it over in the main base or something. No, he is going to throw it down at this third. So going 3 hatch.
Well, he's thinking about transitioning into like a Hydra Defiler play later on by getting a fast third and sunkening up the ramp early on. I don't think he wants to go for that anymore. It's just taken him way too long to even think about placing that hatchery. I don't think he even feels safe in doing it right now. I don't think anything's super optimal for Hyun here, unfortunately. he's going to have to just play reactionary and try and play from behind here a little bit. And his lair and spire timing are going to be a little bit handicapped. So, and we see here Rush sharking for that Overlord kill as well. If he'd been a little bit less careful with the pathing of that, Rush may have actually killed that Overlord. So you can see the practice of Hyun paying off a little bit, understanding the exact safe pathing to get that Overlord into the natural expansion scouting area. But I mean, at what cost? He kind of got mind game in the early and had to cancel his gas, and now he doesn't have a sharp spire timing.
It seems like Rush is a little bit off with the timing of this move out of Marines. If he had been more greedy with the Overlord and just sent it directly, it would have still been over the natural by now. And he took the long route, and Rush is checking a little bit behind the pathing of that. So kind of missing out on the Overlord, a little bit behind the curve, a little bit late on that. Now he's going to start to move across the map. The Overlord sees nothing in the natural, by the way. It sees no Marines there. Marines are definitely out on the map, but he hasn't really produced a whole lot of lings. Here comes some more popping out finally, but some of these lings are actually chasing the SCV way on the other side of the map, and he might be in a lot of trouble.
Get this
Overlord, oh boy.
Oh no, not this one. This is a big mistake from Hyun. He wanted to be a little greedy and get that out onto this sort of scouting area, which is pretty safe. This little island of dead space. Wasn't able to do so. Two lings trying to break their way into national expression and kill a couple of Marines. He did manage to kill both of those Marines just barely with those two lings. But now look at this run by to the back of the minerals. He's also got an SCV to block drones trying to get on top of that and wedge between to stop that from occurring. Not the greatest of surface area to work with, though. Has to pull these drones away. So far, two drones have fallen as well. This is suboptimal to say the least for Hyun. He's currently supply blocked and not able to do anything about these Marines that are now denying mining in the natural expansion. So
I don't really know what Hyun was thinking here. You know, he saw the natural with the Overlord. He saw nothing there. Did he think that Rush just didn't make any Marines? Because he seemed completely taken off guard when the Marines arrived and you know, shot down that Overlord there. He just thought that maybe, you know, Rush was just gonna hang out in the middle and then go back home or something like that. Now he's losing even more drones. More lings are going down. The positioning here is so dirty. It's just not going to be a decent trade no matter what. And in fact, he might just tap out, Xun. This is so bad right now.
I think he has to. It's so bad. I mean, he technically can still live. It's just so bad going into this mid-game phase with this much of a deficit. He's going to do a pretty good drone drill on top of these, but still target fires down at least one more of these drones. It's really painful. Being forced to make any Zerglings here is really bad as well. He's got another 2 pairs of lings. That's 2 less drones he could have had. Hasn't been mining this natural gas or minerals for so time. He does have 2.5 hatchery weapon production, so he can still make a lot of drones to try and recover. But then he's just going to die to the bio push of Rush, who's now going to be like churning up into 4 racks worth of production and just putting on the pressure.
Yeah, this is such a rough game for Hyun. I talked about it right at the beginning, right? Having the Overlord over the natural so you can see if there's naked Marines coming your way is so important. He had that and he still didn't react. And it's kind of unforgivable mistake there for Hyun. He is going to have an incredibly difficult time following this up. Rush can build a ton of turrets, just keep himself safe, and there's really no way for Hyun to break him. He's just going to build up into a huge Marine count and put a ton of pressure on. Looks like Hyun just wants to take his third and maybe try to drone out of this, making minimal mutas. 4 mutas is all he made, and he's just going to try and drone hard.
I mean, this is brutal. I mean, sometimes 4 mutas can work if you can, like, you know, 2-shot the SCVs building turrets or something, but he's already got himself locked up pretty tight, has Rush. The turrets are already in formation, in great positions, and pretty on time with the curve of the game. Factory already on the way as well. So even though he's gone 4 racks here, the factory's at a prerequisite time. He is going to try and dive into natural expansion with some Zerglings. Maybe he can get behind here and do something. It just doesn't look too good for Hyun. This is getting worrisome. I almost feel like he would have been better off just putting that 3rd hatch on location and playing super risky and greedy and just getting some early speedlings out to deal with any early pressure from Rush. Maybe would have put him into a better position. But unfortunately, as it stands, this is looking very Rush favored. He's trying to catch up. He's squeezing out Overlords and Mutas as much as he can. Rush, for the time being, won't want to push out until he's got a few more rounds of Marines. You don't want to just go with just one control group against the Mutas, even if they are in lowish number. He wants to be sure he doesn't lose this bio ball for free so he can maintain his lead here.
Yeah, it's such a small mutalist clump, and these bio forces, Rush is incredibly good at controlling them against the mutas. I don't think Hyun has the chops to pull this apart. He's not a soul key level of player, that is for sure. His ZVT is not that good. He's only got a 33% win rate. Oh my gosh. Almost
Did
losing
you
a
see
muta
what
right there
Rush
for
did a
free.
moment ago? That he actually pre-stimmed before the mutas were in the range, expecting him to come in with the mutas so that he could like, get a quick pounce onto those mutas. But luckily, Hyun didn't dive in. There's an interesting strategy there from Rush to sort of pre-stim, expecting the mutas to come to him to kind of surprise them a little bit with more DPS than Hyun would be able to expect. You can pretty much two-shot these mutas with a control group of Marines. 6 damage times 10 is 60, and the mutas only have 120 HP. So you just need like a control group of Marines to start two-shotting these mutas. And with stim, that's obviously very quick volleys you can get off. Indeed, you need to basically maintain a square formation to be safe and a line formation to engage the mutas with as many Gauss rifles as possible. That's why you see him kind of reshuffling back into a square after engaging the mutas in more of a line formation.
This is not bad for Hyun. You know, he's shaved off quite a few Marines here, but has he done enough? Rush is still, you know, getting his tech online. He's got his starports finished. He's going to be getting vessels out here pretty soon, I imagine. No real reason to go into Valkyries here, even though it's quite a huge commitment into these mutas. Just getting the science vessels out is going to be more than enough to push everything back, and that'll give him longevity in this game as well. Like, those vessels are going to continue to be worth it long into the late game. So, or really for the rest of the game in general. Nothing here at the third, by the way. Nothing at all. He hasn't started mining that, even for the gas.
Rush has scanned him. He knows that this is pretty all in from Hyun right now. If he moves out, he knows it'll probably be a little bit suicidal. He needs to be very tentative about when he pushes out. He's got a soul key kill move ready with just mass muta and zerglings, a little bit like how Quanro used to play back in the day. This is kind of wild. He's doing a pretty good job of shaving off most of these bioforces. He's losing some mutas for these trades. He's trying to bait Rush into coming out after thinking he's done a good job shaving off some of these muta lists, but there's still more mutas rating in reserve and like 3 control groups. Oh no, Rush. Okay, this could be the thing that Hyun was looking for. If Rush pushes forward any further than this, he's going to pounce on him with the Mutalisk and Zerglings. It looks like though Rush has figured this out, and he's still tentatively staying back in his natural expansion choke point for quite a long time, waiting for that Irradiate to finally come on. But Hyun senses weakness. He's going to try and drive wedge, getting on top of these bioforces with those Zerglings. He's got a pretty good surround. He's going to whittle down pretty much all of these forces here. He has got a few Irradiates to work with, but as long as he splits off these Mutalisks somehow, some way, he's actually making a game of it, but I don't think it's enough to break through. Russia's got so much production behind this, and a single Marine has made its way up here to the 12 o'clock. It's going to be taken up by the drone's spines, but it doesn't matter. Any disruption to the gas income of Hyun right now is pretty critical because he hasn't really done any damage to Rush despite shaving off some of these walls. He has got a Den transition coming in, but no Queen's Nest or Evolution Chamber.
It was a good attempt, and a secondary follow-up attempt going to come in here. Bunch of mutas flying in. That Irradiate was brutal. All the mutas are going to die. Yeah, nice attempt. Both times it was pretty close to wiping out those forces, but there's just not the economy behind this Xun. He's not added on enough drones nearly to keep this up. Rush knows it. He is going to continue to increase his barracks count. He's going to continue to just upgrade this infrastructure here he's got back at home, and remaking all those mutas, that's just never going to happen. These lurkers are really all that he can put together, and he doesn't have even a hive on the way. He's just going to make lurkers. That's all he can do.
Yeah, he just scanned the main. He knows there's no threat of any transition. He just needs to survive and put on a little bit of pressure now. Lurkers will be able to sandbag, obviously, the Terran for some time, but with enough vessels, he's going to start churning out the Irradiates and laying siege to the Zerg. We see some Zerglings trying to disrupt the advancement of this army by threatening counterattacks and run-bys, but I mean, Rush is just going to call his bluff and put the pedal way down now. He knows this is the transitional point of weakness right now. There are no Lurkers on the way. This is game over for Hyun. He's got a lot of Hydras out, but there's no Lurker support. He's going to get absolutely bowled over by Rush in a few moments here, Saiyan.
Yeah, the number of lurkers he's managed to make, I think it's very similar to the number of vessels that we have here at the front. In fact, can't even make these into lurkers right now. He actually has the money and the open supply to do so, but he's going to keep those as Hydras and bring them in. Oh my goodness, what are we looking at here? Hands off the keyboard for Hyun. He has definitely given up in this game. GG, hands in, or face in hands there at the end of that game. Rush has pulled him apart expertly. Really, that Naked Marine move out, though, putting him into such a rough position. There was hardly any chance of coming back with Rush's perfect follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, the only way Rush loses this game is if he doesn't scan appropriately and like kind of pushes out onto the map prematurely there. He attacked at just the right time where even if he did lose that bioforce, he had enough remaining in reserve to keep going with the vessel support. The vessels are the main army of the Terran at that stage. The Marines are more like support units protecting the vessels. That irradiate is just so valuable at breaking the Zerg line with lurkers and what have you before defilers become relevant. Even when defilers are out, you can still break through the Zerg. Some Terrans will tell you differently, but it's actually really hard to stay on top of everything as Zerg constantly building Scourge and Defilers and morphing more and more Lurkers, because eventually your Lurker stack gets weaker and weaker, and the Terran with enough vessels will break through.
All right, guys, there seems to be something wrong with the screen here. I'm going to try and fix it. We're going to go ahead and do this for now. I apologize, guys. Part of the screen is cut off, I guess. Oh, so sorry about this. We should have the clean stream operational, but we're trying to make do the best that we can. We really appreciate your understanding.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to fix that now. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So that should be better. That should be better. Let me know if there's any other problems here. If it's not working.
Okay, so we're guaranteed to have 2 Terran versus Terrans now in a row, with Hyun going to that losers match. So we're going to be having Rush versus Royal. Sorry, Royal versus Speed. And then whoever wins that game will be playing against Rush in the winners match. So I really hope somehow Speed can get a win here. Even if he doesn't, that's going to put him against Hyun. So no matter what happens, I think this is good for Speed. Because if he loses, he then gets a scoops up a win versus Hyun and then goes to the final. If anything, maybe it's better that Speed loses here.
It's hard to it's hard to make that point. But sorry, what was your point here? Why would it be better for him to?
Because then he can actually play against Hyun. Because if he wins against Royal, then he's also got to beat Rush in the final match probably. And beating Rush and Royal might not be so workable. But losing and then beating Hyun and then taking one TVT in the finals is a much more doable task here for Speed.
All right, I think we've got everything set up here. But if he wins, then he has to face Rush. If he loses against Rush, then I assume Royal would win against Hyun, and then he would face Royal. So he only has to play 2 VTs either way, right? But then he has to pay.
I'm just saying, there's some compensation. If he does lose, it's not the end of the world for him. He can still find an easy road back to getting out of this group, even if he does lose against Royal. So it's kind of good for him either way here. Winning or losing still works out for this guy.
I really think he will beat Hyun for sure, especially after that last game. I mean, Speed is very good with Naked Marine move outs. He's very good at putting on that early game pressure. He is incredibly scary in the mid game as well. Like, I didn't see anything there from Hyun that made me think that Speed won't be able to break him open. He didn't seem like that iron wall of defense that really, really good Terran players need in order to survive against a player the caliber of Speed. So I'm expecting that Speed would win at least one game if he goes down against Hyun, or if he gets taken out here and has to go against Hyun, I expect he'll win at least that game. But can he beat Royal? This is going to be tough. He has to beat Royal at least one time to get through into the round of 16. Will it be now?
Yeah, he's basically going to have at least 2 shots at doing it. Right. Regardless, I think he's definitely going to beat Hyun in that losers. Hyun did not look that strong at all in that game, so unless Speed makes a major blunder against him, I think he's a shoe-in for the final match almost no matter what.
All right, guys. Looks like we've got the full screen up now. Looks like it's been fixed.
Nice.
Let me know. Klazart inspired commentary for a second. In fact, Klazart was one of my favorite commentators when I was young. Yeah, I used to watch him way back in the day. Voltac, when I was a young teenager. I had my first iPod Touch and I would watch it in bed at night, really, really late night, or in class at school, because the teachers didn't know that you could actually watch videos on that. They thought it was only for music.
But yeah, even though I
Some
do
good
talk
memories.
pretty, even though I do talk a pretty chill sometimes, I know that like Klazart would, you gotta speak fast to explain fast, and there's so much action happening on the screen. Sometimes you have to do kind of enter battle rap mode and just rattle off the syllables and get through it.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're definitely pretty adept at slamming out the syllables when it comes time.
Yeah,
Some
battle rap was a transferable skill. I'm kind of grateful for it.
sometimes I can't even tell exactly what's coming out of your mouth, Shun, but for the most part, I'm right there with you.
Okay,
Um,
I appreciate that, buddy.
all right, guys, we're ready for this next match. I am just stoked to see if Speed can compete here against Royal. There he is, Royal on the left-hand side of the stage. He's got an ASL championship under his belt and a 44% win rate overall versus Terran. That's a little bit lower than I expected, but look at that Zerg win rate. That's definitely kind of around the
Yeah.
number that I was thinking of. 62%. He really crushes down a lot of Zerg players.
He definitely does. That's one of the things that has carried him in the past. He's going to have to dig deep today, though. Hasn't really been performing his absolute A game. Has Royal since that championship win a couple of years ago. I think almost 3 years ago now. Needs to somehow figure out his mindset in this tournament as well. It's such a hard tournament. Even if you are very comfortable with the lights, the camera, and all the sound and buzz around you, even some of the, not all of them, but a few of the pros still get a little bit of nerves, even though they've been there so many times. It's actually kind of weird. Like, I don't think anyone can fully get used to it. Maybe there's a few like psychopath caliber players out there that don't get phased at all, but certainly can get rattled a little bit, especially against some of the shenanigans you can see in ASL. Some of these guys play like exceptionally well compared to practice games. They definitely hide their builds and their secret strategies for days just like this. So maybe some of them has got something special prepared for us today that we haven't even seen before.
All right, guys, we're ready to get into this game. Royal Speed. Here we go. Somebody in the chat
Let's get it.
asking for a 4-hour game. Please no. Not on not on Eclipse.
It
That's
won't happen
definitely
on the
not going to
clips.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to split this map, guys. Here we are, Royal in the top right-hand corner. There he is on screen. Speed in the bottom left. Sexy, aka 10-minute flash. This guy we've been following really closely lately, and we're hoping he can put out some great games. Will be good enough to beat Royal, though, here on Eclipse. It's a tough map.
Yeah.
It will lead to some very fast, intense gameplay because you just cannot split this map easily in half, and there's a lot of lanes to push down. So hard to just set up a one tank line and then just hold the middle of the map either.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I imagine this will be a very mid-game centric style of TVT where a lot of harassment and trying to abuse the lanes will occur. It's also possible that we see a very aggressive build from one of these guys to try and set up a contain, or at the very least, contain them with as many mines as possible, force them to get scans, and try and delay the move out timing to not have to worry about the pressure of controlling the lanes early on, so they can get more rounds of tanks out to control that. Quite a few English speaking fans in the crowd here today. Nice to see you guys there. Everyone here, I think, would probably dream of one day going to Korea and showing up to these events. If you guys can afford it, I highly recommend you do make the trip one day in your life.
Absolutely, it is awesome experience, a surreal experience for a viewer who's watched for many years. You know, if you've been watching ASL for since the beginning or for several seasons, like you've got an idea of what it's like in your head to be there in person, but it's something else completely when you finally arrive. I
Yeah.
haven't been to this studio where they're at right now, but The Gemstill studio is really beautiful, and the vibe is amazing in the studio as well.
Yeah, so it looks like Speed is going for like a pretty traditional, just like 11, 12 gas sort of timing. Sorry, 12 gas timing here. But it looks like we're going to have a gasless build from Royal. And a bunker expand in turn versus Terran is basically the best way to play the matchup. It's not easy to hold everything that's coming your way. I'm curious to see how many Marines Speed wants to produce here as well. One is like a bit greedy. Two is safe against any cheese, like BBS, as long as you can eventually build a bunker on the high ground to defend against that. And 3 and 4 kind of spell aggression. Usually you'd just make 4, though. There's not much point in just making 3. The one Marine, though, just basically helps deny scouting, killing this SCV and forcing him to not get inside there, because he would lose the SCV eventually. So yeah, it does give you a little bit of anti-scouting potential, but 2 Marines is the safest amount to make sure you don't die to any early pressure and can also ward away this barrack scout later on. But I think that if Royal gets away with this bunker expand somehow, I don't even know how Speed is going to win this game. Bunker expand is just so good in TVT if you can defend.
Yeah, it looks like Speed's just going to take his own CC. He's seen it. He only builds the 1 Marine. He lifts off. He is going to get a Vulture out on this map. I imagine you'll get the Vulture, then go into mines and just take map control.
Yeah.
Make it a little hard for Royal to push out, but he's going to have to eat this deficit, it seems like. He's going to go behind in workers, and he is going to fall behind a little bit in that overall economy, but
right.
There's not really a good way to just bust through and break Royal right now. And anything he would do would be incredibly risky, and Royal should be ready for all of it. So he's just going to have to swallow it and just try to take map control and do the best that he can.
I mean, Speed did pull 2 off gas to make that expansion, so there's no way he can do like a fast siege here to try and break this bunker. There's pretty much nothing available to him, and with this supply depot wall, if he wanted to do like a mass vulture style, that would also get shut down easily. A tank can just plug the gap, and you're pretty much just dead in the water here, Speed, if you try and go for something like that. So he's going to play basically from behind and hope for the best, which is going to suit Royal. I'm not too sure. Is he going to build 2 starports here? Are you going double starport Wraith? I think he might be.
Way.
I think it's just 2 starports. Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. Royal playing a really interesting game. You know, Royal sent out this SCV, and he was checking everywhere to make sure that there wasn't a second factory, because that's kind of the one way that maybe Royal could get broken on this bunker expand, is if there was a factory right outside of his natural and then builds a tank and he starts busting in through the natural. But he's scouted everywhere. He made sure that he knows exactly what's coming. And now his follow-up is going to come through. Double port Wraith. What are we even looking at here, Xun?
I mean, this is wild, because even if Speed somehow gets a read on this or has an armory on the way, you don't want to make Goliaths in this position. And Marines are terrible against Wraiths. They have a third of the HP, less damage, and less range. So not ideal at all, to say the least. He's going to be target firing the SCVs as they're panic building armories, academies, and engineering base. He might even have to build... Oh, he's building an armory already. That's a great read. He's trying to get in with these vultures. He can't really get in and squeeze into that gap, unfortunately. If he could, that would have been great. There's nothing in the bunker to deny them, but the tank does come out. I'm a little bit concerned for Speed, but that armory being on the way will be his saving grace, that he won't just get absolutely bowled over by the Wraith pressure here. He does have the option to build a couple of Goliaths and thwart that, even an academy on the way. So he's got a great read of the situation. This armory and academy is super early for TVT, especially the academy. So this is going to be a great little build order win for Speed, in the sense that he's not just going to die straight up to this Wraith pressure, but still making Goliaths is not ideal. You want to make tanks or vultures. You don't want to make Goliaths.
How greedy is Royal, by the way? He went for this 2-port Wraith play off of a bunker expand with 1 Marine. He only had 1 Marine in that bunker, and he pulled it out and went and attacked the barracks. It's kind of a cheeky play there by Speed to go in and prevent the Marine from getting back in the bunker and try to break the egg, but it doesn't really come to much, and now we're losing SCVs in the main. Speed is going to pop out a Goliath here in just a moment, but how many SCVs will he lose, and how much further behind will he be pushed here? Royal getting a bunch of kills now. Was this 3-4 kills in total? 5 kills perhaps?
Yeah.
Goliaths come out, but I mean, with the opener here from Royal, any SCV damage is brutal.
Right, especially with the bunker expand opening. He's got his own siege tanks. He's just scanned and he's clearing out the mines. The worst thing for to deal with in terms of deterrent is when you don't know exactly where the mines are and how many there are, to be able to put these tanks out to secure a safe lane to your expansions. But in a situation like this where it's just like a vulture count, he can be pretty safe against doing anything like that. It's actually kind of interesting. There's a lot of positional advantage for speed. If he can somehow get his army up here and deny a third base from Royal, maybe, just maybe, there's a way of turning this into a win. If he's taking his own third base right now, as well as somehow figuring out some pressure of denying lane access to Royals for third, but I don't think it's going to be successful because he's got to make Goliaths to protect his army, as well as producing off of his factories to make tank. There's no way he's going to keep up with the 4 factory production of Royal. He's now finally adding his own factories to go up to 5 after taking this third. So he's going to have an expansion advantage. But for now, Royal's got a huge production advantage and the tactical advantage of using these Wraiths as well. I'm a little bit concerned for speed because Royal is probably going to be undeterred in this game. He's just going to keep growing and eventually will start putting on pressure with a vulture drop, it looks like.
Speed, he's taking a risk right now. He knows that he's in a bad economic position, and he feels like he just needs to do something that's going to help him to reverse this. Oh, seeing the dropship is actually quite huge. So taking the third base, I think, is a pretty decent idea. It's pretty smart here for Speed to go ahead and do that and just try to sneak that out. But he's taken a pretty strong position at that front, and he's getting ready for this drop. Now, if this drop doesn't do any damage and Royal doesn't get a third base online too quickly, then Speed's definitely going to equalize in this game. He's already on a pretty close supply, but as soon as he gets enough SCVs out and he gets his third base online, it's going to be a pretty even game once again.
Yeah, just unloading one of these vultures in the natural and the rest will be going in the main. There's not much to stop this as well. Vultures desperately turning around to fight this, and this is just when Royal wants to launch his attack. There's only 3 or so siege tanks in this middle lane right now. Plenty of firepower available to Royal to break through those 3 tanks. Only going to be sacrificing a few for the effort. Some vultures going to be trying to lay down some mines on the reserve tanks, the western flank as well, easily clearing up those. Beautifully executed attack from Royal, and now we'll be getting on top of the SCVs into that third base. This is such a well-coordinated assault from Royal, distracting in the natural and main with that drop, just so that he can set up for the 1-2 punch and come in and just punish the economy of Speed, who somehow is actually doing pretty good in supply, despite after losing all that. It's actually ahead in supply by almost 10 right now. If he can somehow get on top of these tanks in the counter attack, maybe Speed can secure the tempo in this game. He's beautiful body blocking on this tanks. Actually, somehow Speed might be able to take this game if he can keep playing like this. This is actually not enough damage from Royal. He's actually behind in supply by quite a lot right now. Speed taking this early third base and defending these attacks has actually kind of gone his way, way more than I thought it would be.
Well, Royal does have a third base coming out. It looked really scary what Royal was trying to do. He had way more tanks as he was pushing up, but Speed reacted pretty quickly. He was able to bring up reinforcements and block out a lot of that, and then he got back to defend his mineral line at the third quite quickly as well. Now he's going to be slipping up into this third of Royal. Can he block the ramp and go to work on these SCVs? He doesn't block the ramp, and so he's just going to get a few more kills here, picking off quite a few SCVs and really
6.
evening out this count, man. Yeah, I think that we don't have an SCV count. Obviously, this is a live game, but I'm pretty sure that SCV count is close, and that means Speed has a pretty big army advantage. Royal is going to go ahead and push along the top lane while Speed pushes along the bottom lane. But Speed immediately, as soon as he sees that, changes position, changes tactics. He's going to set up over here and try to hold this push that Royal is doing. It just turns into a siege line, and Royal is going to move in a different direction.
They both have a similar amount of tanks, but it looks like Speed's got a few extra vultures to leverage, and some of that supply is obviously in those Wraiths. He wants to eventually maybe utilize the Wraith in the siege tank lines, but for the moment it's going to be acting as anti-drop defense. Wants to secure his lane up to this 4th base. definitely making much less vultures than Speed has been making. So maybe the supply is a little bit deceptive here. There are probably more vultures out on the field for Speed than Royal. So maybe most of this supply is a little bit meatier for Royal. Needs to be careful not to get his own vultures picked off for free like that, though. The extra vulture count does allow more map presence for Speed and also setting up for counterattacks. So Royal's going to have to be very careful. Dot his I's, cross his T's going forward. Now starting to get more armories online. It's going to be a race against the clock to see who can get this +2 weapons out first so you can start two-shotting tanks. Is such a big deal in this matchup.
One thing to mention also, Royal did start early starports, right? He's got 2 starports at home. He can quickly switch into mass dropship production. He could quickly switch into a bunch of wraiths in order to overtake some of these positions. Speed, of course, opted for that early Goliath production. Now going to slip into this natural to hold up. This could kill so many SCVs. Not reacting very quickly here. Royal bringing some of his stuff back, but allowing the vultures to get up this ramp as well, killing a lot of stuff here. He did throw away a lot of supply to get all of these SCV kills, but I don't think that Royal can quickly and easily break any positions right now. So Speed will be able to replenish that, and he's going to get this base online at a similar timing to Royal. This is looking very good for Speed. He's playing an excellent game right now.
Yeah, and the longer the game goes on, these vultures are worth less and less. So it is worthwhile to just try and dive them into these bases and get what you can with them after laying down mines on the map. So it is a pretty good game from Speed. I think Scan calls vultures popcorn in this matchup just because of how fast they pop. And yeah, they're not really that good at tanking damage either, especially in the later phases of the game. We see a massive push coming out from Roy. We have some Wraith support as well coming in cloaked. There's not many Goliaths over here. There's actually quite 3 Goliaths. Actually, really good setup from Speed. Just barely has the prerequisite defense to keep this army at bay. Not the best of tank lines to work with, but still doing a pretty good job of just like keeping everything bunkered down, like a turret over here of a Goliath protecting these 4 tanks, making more turrets where he can. This is a nice setup from Speed. He is ahead of supply by 30. If he can somehow just maintain position, this game state is favorable. He's going to dive into the natural expansion and find a Valkyrie here. Nice little idea from Speed to try and get a count of Valkyries. They're so good at dealing with Wraiths and also warding away fleets of dropships later on, but he is getting those taken out, and it's quite a lot of the deficit to just lose those units for free. They're very expensive units indeed. Pretty good scanning as well from both players, staying on top of the army movements. We see Royal eyeing up more attack vectors on that northern flank, but then having to keep responding to the vulture run bys of Speed. He's going to get in again, Saiyan. That's crazy. Look at how many SCVs are falling. He lost like 8 to the last attack, and now he's losing potentially 10 of these SCVs.
Yeah, and he's getting a good scout of how many Wraiths are being made as well. Everything being pulled here to save these SCVs, but so many have gone down. Big hit to the economy here of Royal. He's got that Air Force, but if Speed just keeps making Valkyries, once he's got like 3 Valkyries, oh my gosh, do Wraiths ever pop quickly? They are the true popcorn of this matchup.
Yeah, we see 7 factories currently online with 2 more on the way for Speed. So going up into that late game 9 count, going to be very vital in churning out production. Still ahead on supply by almost 20. We see Royal trying to shove the issue down the center of the lanes, but I don't know if he's going to be too successful with this. He's going to break this initial siege tank line, but he can't really go much deeper than this. There's just too much waiting in reserve for Speed. He's got enough units in on siege mode, acting as fluid, running around the map, ready to respond to threats in a moment's notice. And I don't think Royal's getting enough value out of these Wraiths this game. He's put a lot of gas into these early starports and Wraiths and hasn't really accomplished a whole lot with them.
Yeah, it seemed like he was going to get more, but hold on a second. Royal pushing up on this high ground. How is he doing so much with so much less supply? I imagine we're going to see Speed break through somewhere else then if he's not bringing his entire army up here to defend this. Some vultures make their way by into the 3rd base. More kills here. Kills over at the 4th base as well. He's doing so much damage at these different locations, and now he's going to bring up these forces to crush this army. He has some Wraiths in the air. He's going to start to remove these tanks on the side. He will defend this base as well. At the same time, dealing all this damage, killing off all of these SCVs. He is pulling Royal limb from limb. This is super impressive from Speed.
I mean, Speed is living up to his namesake right now. He's just faster, 460 APM, blistering speeds right now for Speed as he dances his hands across the across the keyboard. His hands moving like a spider's legs. It's kind of insane. He's playing at this level of speed right now. Royal is struggling to hold his own, and this tank line is going to get breached by Speed, and that will set up more counterattack potential to Royal's fourth base. This is looking like Speed's game. I can't even believe what I'm seeing right now. Royal is being made to look a little bit silly by the task switching ability of Speed. He's constantly threatening the SCV lines of Royal. He just cannot keep up with the task switching of Speed right now. He's fighting on multiple fronts and thinking on multiple levels to outmaneuver Royal in this game, and he's killing so many SCVs, even though the supplies look very Speed favored. That's mainly because there's like 30 or so less SCVs for Royal right now. It's absolutely insane.
He is really taking so much damage. Speed having a hard time keeping his gas mining up, though. He's got 1,400 minerals. He's been throwing away vultures left and right, but he's still having a glut of minerals, and that gas geyser might just die here. It is very low. If that dies and he doesn't have that extra gas income, that could actually be quite bad for Speed. Now, moving down the right-hand side here, Royal is going to walk into some mines. Those were set up a long time ago to kind of flank the army, or to cover this flank for army pushing down this right-hand side, and it's actually paying off dividends. There it is. The gas dies. Oh, gosh. That's pretty bad for Speed.
Yeah, that's 3 tanks a minute you can no longer make until that is restored, and he's not noticed. The main thing is he won't know that's happened for a little bit of time until he goes back to looking at that area, and he's very distracted right now with launching vulture attacks at the fourth base of Royal, while also trying to respond to the threat of Royal pushing through this bottom lane. This might be a little bit of a problem for Speed. If he doesn't notice that gas has died, he won't have quite enough juice to churn out and be forced to make more and more vultures as he goes. But beautiful flank with these vultures onto Royal's tank lines. He's doing a great job of cleaning up these attacks from Royal. He's definitely coming out ahead on pretty much every front right now, and he's also got his base set up in the bottom right. So if he does get top left and one of these bases in the bottom right, obviously that's far more superior position for Speed to work with going forward in this game. Both players have 2-1 upgrades, so they're both still two-shotting tanks. Neither of them really had an upgrade advantage in this game, but it doesn't matter. Speed is just outmaneuvering him so effectively. We see finally a fleet of dropships to begin the harassment orientation in the air for this matchup here, but so far Speed's done such a good job of just harassing him on the ground. He didn't even need dropships.
Yeah, this drop ship play from Royal, this might be like a Hail Mary that we see coming out of him next. Go for the main or something, do some sort of massive drop that can throw off Speed, but he sees it. He's got the scanner. He is going to see that coming. This dropship fleet heading directly towards this main, but look at all the forces already sieged up here. Speed is so good, man. It's crazy.
This is crazy. The star sense of Speed is out of this one. He's still playing at almost 500 APM. Is this guy an alien or what? I don't even know what's going on. Pretty good siege up from Royal, but it's not going to be good enough. He's going to eventually clean this up. This is really stellar play from Speed. I'm almost speechless saying he's playing at 500 APM in a 20-minute TVT. And he looks like he's just chilling. Look at the camera right now. His mouth is just open. He's just like chilling right now.
Oh my goodness. Another day at the office here for Speed as he just rips Royal limb from limb. 500 APM. Absolute destruction here. Kept keeping up with absolutely everything that Royal's doing. Nothing is surprising to him right now. He is just keeping tabs on everything that he's doing. All the drop ships have been shut down. This vulture over here finally getting some damage, but look at how many bases are coming up. He's got this gas over here. He's got the gases in top left. He is going to just completely overwhelm Royal going forward, and he could do basically anything he wants, and he should be able to win.
This is crazy. So I'm imagining like Speed just listening to the song "Working 9 to 5" on his headphones while he's executing this, because it's crazy. It looks like he's just at the office right now doing his job and making it look easy. And look at this, another vulture run by in the natural while all this is going on. Has his own dropships to respond to the threat in the northwest quadrant on the map as well. Speed is just everywhere. He's got all of his scans probably on hotkey as well. Flash would tell you that he pretty much hotkeys his scans all the way down to 4, so he's only got 3 hotkeys available for units. So it's probably similar to how Speed is playing right now, making sure he's just scanning all over the map and playing an effective map hack and basically turning the game into chess. So you can see the entire board. You just need to respond and cover everything accordingly. And he's doing such a fantastic job of it right now. 60 supply lead for this absolute monstrous Terran who's denied mining in a natural expansion as well, with just a small vulture run by, forcing so much task switching out of Royal. He just can't deal with it. The champion is falling apart.
Royal's head has got to be spinning at this point. He is being torn limb from limb. He's being pushed left and right over and over again. Speed has a ton of dropships ready to respond to whatever Royal's next move is. And really, Royal has to make a move. Is this it? Pushing down the middle? Is that really going to bring you back in this game when Speed has all of these dropships ready to respond immediately? Just going to drop right on top of this. He is going to take a big mine connection. Oh my God. That was some terrible mine connections there, just absolutely ruining Speed's drop play, but still a 50 supply advantage even after those brutal mine connections.
Yeah. Now, we have to note that this is mainly due to the SCV lead of Speed. So the armies are very relatively similar in size. It's just that Speed has like 20, 30, maybe more SCVs than him. So only maybe like an army supply lead of like 30 or so, a bit more manageable for Royal here. But I don't know. I don't think Royal's done enough to stop the expansion efforts of Speed. He's getting dive bombs on top of these tank lines as well and stopping this expansion being set up in the bottom right, which is Royal's only lifeline with this top left secured. This is kind of crazy. There's no way Speed is playing this good right now. Royal has to maybe even think about his GG timing in the next 5 minutes or so. He's mined out in his main and natural. We've got 2 base economy to the 4 bases of Speed, and he's securing both bases in the top right and top left. Like, Speed is playing like an absolute god at the moment.
Okay, only in TVT could you say in the next 5 minutes or so, maybe he's going to GG. But there it is. The GG comes out. Speed on screen right now. Oh my goodness, the salty look on Royal's face. He is supposed to be an ASL champion. He's supposed to make it through to the round of 16, but his chances just got a lot worse. Speed made him look silly here on the big stage.
Yeah, I mean, he had a build order advantage with that bunker expand as well, did Royal. He's going to be feeling all kinds of iffy about that. He made one single Marine after bunker expanding. That's like one of the most greediest ways you can play this matchup without just risking a straight up CC first. I'm kind of blown away. I'm kind of blown away by how Speed is playing. Who knows? Maybe this guy will end up being in the top 4. You just don't know with this guy. He's new, he's up and coming, he's fresh, he plays so fast and out of his mind. And StarCraft is a very mechanics-driven game. If he can somehow keep his nerves under control and just allow his hands to do what they need to do, he could go all the way, Sam.
Oh, I would love to see that, Xun. I would love to see Speed in the finals. This guy certainly deserves it. He's been grinding games like nobody else. If you watch his ladder account, he is just pounding out ladder game after ladder game, practicing against the best players in the world as well. I'm sure that he's doing plenty of backdoor practice at the same time, you know, getting some practice partners. And I'm sure that if he goes deep in this tournament, he'll have people lining up to practice with him in the future.
I imagine so. I just don't know how anyone else can play at that speed that he's doing. Like pun intended, like he's literally just speed. Like, is this guy literally smoking meth before the games? I don't understand. How is he that fast?
How is he that fast? His wrists are just going to explode if he continues to play at that speed, I imagine. 500 APM is a little bit excessive. It's almost like too fast, really.
It is. It's kind of crazy. I mean, obviously this guy isn't on like any class A substances. I'm just joking, but what is going on? Like, I mean, one guy in the chat just said meth does speed. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much the long and short of it. And I mean, oh my days. Can you imagine having to play against this guy in the tournament right now? Like, you would just be feeling so flat and disheartened. Like, you just want to give up, wouldn't you?
Now, we got to ask the question here, Xun. Does Speed just annihilate Rush next? And what does that mean for the pro scene if he's able to do that?
Okay, if Speed somehow smashes Rush and just 2-0s this group, I'm going to be even more happy than when Scan got through. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, this is crazy. Like, this shouldn't happen, guys. This shouldn't happen. Okay, Roy was not supposed to lose like that after going bunker expand, only making one Marine. This is really unheard of, unorthodox territory we are currently in. We're gonna do your best to navigate and explain what's happening play by play, but this is totally not going according to plan, especially for the writers of the universe right now. I imagine some fourth dimensional aliens will be checking the scripts and going like, hang on a minute, is that right?
Well, Speed, this is his plan all along, man. He's been grinding out so many games. He has been practicing so hard. It's finally coming together, Xun. I love to see it.
I do as well. I'm super stoked for this tournament. We've had such a great couple of groups to start the tournament off with as well. Like, I don't think we could have even thought about improving on Group A. And I imagine most of you guys at home as well didn't think that these TVTs could be this exciting. Well, hold your beer, because Speed is going to play absolutely out of his mind. Like, I don't even think I can process how fast this guy is playing or thinking, especially playing from a deficit. That's what's so crazy about it. It's not like Speed got a wave of CC first and then just, like, ran away with the game. He was behind the curve of the game, and Royal even went for a little bit of a Wraith play. The Wraiths were spotted coming across the map by mines, which gave a little bit of extra preparedness to Speed, I guess. But he was so thoughtful in making that fast armory into fast academy. He just knew that he needed to be safe against that range of play, and it worked out flawlessly for him.
Yeah, that was a investment that really paid off. Had Royal been going for something different, maybe he could have ended up in a poor position with, a bunch of tanks coming out, and then he ends up getting contained on a smaller portion of the map. But it turned out to be an amazing call. Yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about. I have too many good things to say about Speed. I can't say enough good things about Speed. This guy, absolutely crushing it, but this is going to be a real challenge now.
Yeah.
Rush is that guy in this group. He's the guy we expect to make it through. But like you said, it's only a 90% chance that he can make it through. Maybe Speed can get through that one little sliver, that little 10% chance. Maybe he can hit that mark and get through first in this group.
I mean, the way he was pulling Royal apart in the last game, finding the tiniest holes in the wall of Royal to keep exploiting those SCV lines. I really do hope Rush was studying those games, because he's now going to be having a little bit of a fear of God in him and how he wants to approach this. He needs to play a very stellar game himself just to avoid the onslaught from Speed and losing that many SCVs in the early mid-game phase to those Vulture run-bys. And the task switching of Speed is insane. Like, one Vulture goes behind minerals here, 3 go over there. I'm going to attack you in the top left now as well. So you're dealing with like 3 different fires you've got to put out, while you're also spinning all of your own plates back at home just to make sure the roof doesn't fall off. It's kind of crazy. How do you even keep up with a guy like this?
Yeah, it's clear that it's not good enough to just have a very nice opener versus Speed. You have to be able to keep up with them. You have to be able to reach on his level. And Rush, we're going to see if he's capable of doing that now. Here he is on screen. He's ready for this next TVT. He looks determined. This guy has had so many close shaves, so many close calls with the ASL title, but has never made it there. He's looking for a win here in this final ASL season before Flash comes back into the scene once again. He's currently having a bit of wrist surgery, so a lot of these players are probably counting this as maybe their last chance of taking away an ASL before he comes back and starts to make waves in the scene once again.
You're right about that, saying my money would be on Flash coming back next season and making a lot of these guys cry. So this is the time to shine if you want to do it. If you're someone like Hero and you still haven't won a title, or someone like Speed, you're up and coming, you're going to be thinking, okay, this is going to be my road. This is the path. This is the one tournament. Sulky's already won 3 titles. He's probably going to slump a little bit. There's no way he's got the same motivation. Maybe, just maybe, I can win this time.
Here we go, guys. Speed versus Rush. Who will be the first one out of this group and get themselves into the round of 16. We're about to find out on Metropolis, this brand new map. should be an interesting one for TVT. We've talked about it before. It has a super unique main base structure, and drop play is going to be a serious factor here. It's already such a big factor in modern TVT, but on this map particularly, it's probably going to be one of the defining features.
Yeah, you got these like really long-reaching army boot style shaped main bases, which allow for a lot of drop play, which will probably come into effect in this TVT. You can easily get siege tanks behind the middle line in the natural, so defending your base with turrets will be a little bit more of a taller order here for these guys. There'll be many more holes to exploit with the dropship harassment if it does come down to it, but who knows, you might even just see a straight up vulture war with these vertical spawns. I'm curious to see exactly how they're going to navigate this early game. We don't see any SCVs moving out onto the map to do a BBS or anything, so there's not going to be any crazy shenanigans from either side. It can get slapped down so fast as well. If you make a BBS and the other guy just makes 2 Marines on high ground, scouts it, and then bunkers, you're pretty much just screwed. So it's very understandable that neither one of these guys wants to take any unnecessary risks. They probably feel so confident in their own ability that they're just going to try and get into a mid game here.
Yeah, I would be pretty sad if we saw a BBS here. I want to see what these two players can do in the late game. This is not an aggressive play here from Rush, setting up the barracks here at the front. It just gives them a little bit of a faster flight time for that barracks to make its way across the map and start to get that scouting information, speed. He puts his barracks down on that on his own high ground. He can float that northward and maybe scout down to the bottom left with his SCV, and eventually he will find Rush as well. Both players going for a gas, so no bunker expansion here for either player.
Speed actually took 11 gas, whereas Rush took 12 gas. I've seen Speed do this quite a few times. He likes to get his gas just a tiny bit early. I mean, it's not really worth it. It's like you get your factory at 224 instead of 229. So it's like you got a 5-second factory advantage. So there's a 5-second vulture advantage. I just don't see how that's going to be usable to get him. I can see that punishing a 12 Nexus or something, but how does it punish the Terran here? I'm curious behind Speed's logic with that style. He's one of the only guys that seems to like getting a slightly faster gas in this matchup, and I actually don't think it's gonna matter too much. Actually, maybe he didn't get 11 gas. I thought he got 11 gas here.
The factories get placed down at the same time, so whether he got an 11 gas or not, he doesn't get much of an advantage in terms of his timing on that factory, and his SCV looks like it might end up going down as well. So -1 SCV in the early game, and he didn't have an earlier factory or anything. I mean, this is a little bit rough, but we've seen Speed come back from, pretty serious deficit. This is nothing like his game versus Royal earlier.
Right. Yeah, but you want to be very safe in these games when you're not sure exactly what your opponent's doing. 2 Marines before you float the racks is the very standard safe way of playing. You can obviously be greedy and make that single Marine, but you might just straight up die if the other guy chooses to make 4 Marines, pressure you, and also has a vulture coming behind it. That can just spell disaster. And we see a fast 1-1-1 build coming from the from Speed. It's going to be a 1-1-1 build straight into early Wraith pressure here. Forcing an armory and Goliath response out of Rush might be enough to disrupt his ebb and flow of the game.
First big divergence in their decision making here with the command center going down for Rush. He will have a macro advantage, but that could be mitigated by the early Wraith just doing a little damage and slowing things down while he gets his own CC online. We'll have to see how this pans out. But for now, Rush is going to sit way back in his natural Speed, kind of a little bit out here. He might want to come across the map and do somewhat of a push, but with even numbers of units, the player with the shorter rally distance is going to be advantaged. There is a machine shop coming up here, so Rush won't have another unit coming up for a little bit longer, but he will be able to pull down SCVs if necessary. 1 Marine goes down. 2nd Marine going to be targeted here. Now the Marines on the side of Speed can actually do a lot more damage. He's going to kill that first Vulture, and things are starting to get a little bit rough here. Pulling back just in time as the SCVs come down. There's the 3rd Vulture as well. Oh boy, he's going to get a lot of damage here. 3 Vultures one-shots these SCVs, and the Marines are doing a lot of extra DPS here, buying time for the Vultures to deal their damage. So many SCVs have been killed. Oh my goodness, this is such a big advantage for Speed.
And the Wraith is coming in saying, he hasn't started an
Oh.
armory. What are we going to
Oh.
do? Oh my God, I think Speed might do it. This is crazy. He's already ahead by 10 supply and will put pressure on. If he can find the armory with the Wraith, that's going to be even more huge. It's a great job from Rush to build this armory out of view so he can't just stay on top of that. Even landing the barracks to trap SCPs. This guy is playing out of his mind right now. I'm really happy to see this caliber of play from Speed. He's even going to get in here and get some more SCV kills while he's thinking about this raid. This is crazy. This might be too damn. I think he's done it. Speed is going to break out of the group 2-0 in record time for TVTs. What is even happening? Who is writing the scripts for this universe we're currently in?
Completely outplayed. Completely outplayed. Look, he's got a tank sitting there on the high ground. It's such a narrow choke there on that ramp. There's going to be no way for the vultures to slip by. He's only got 2 or 3 vultures sitting here in the natural. They can't do anything to Speed at the moment. And he's just trying to get a couple of Goliaths out. He has just 25 supply here, Xun.
Look at Rush. Look at Rush. His head like tilting to the side. He's like, who is this guy, man? Who is this guy? How is he doing this? How is he making me look this silly? I've got Goliaths out, but this guy's just going to get cloaked soon. I can't even afford an academy. What am I going to do?
Oh, man. Absolutely destroyed. 100%, 1,000%. Completely wrecked. And now Speed brings forward these tanks. That might be a little bit of an overextension. He will end up losing the tank, but he's still dealing more damage here with those raids. He's killing off more SCVs, and any SCV damage in a position like this, it is so brutal. Another tank makes his way forward. GG has to be called. His hands go up in the air. Speed absolutely crushes it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
My dreams have come true. My heart wanted this guy to win so bad. And he's just smashed these high caliber players. Like, look at that. He's like, yeah, that's who I am. That's who I am. Wow. I mean, imagine the vibes you'd be feeling as this guy right now. You've just dispatched 2 of the most solid Terran players in the world right now. And not only that, but made them look silly, Saiyan.
Oh, wow. I'm not sure what I would even say at that point. He's going to go ahead and have a interview here, but the confidence going out of this group in such a fashion, oh my goodness. You've got to be feeling so good here as Speed. I was very hopeful that we would see Speed get out of this group, but I never expected him to crush this hard.
Saying, I feel so vindicated when I sent you that message of my like little cursory like review on how these group stages were gonna go, and I had earmarked this particular group as the greatest chance of them a crazy upset with Speed breaking through, and I feel so vindicated as a result. Look at this guy, like what a well executed timing attack. Even with 6 SCVs repairing that vulture, it's not going to be enough with the target on the SCVs. You need at least 2 SCVs per vulture damage to even just weather the storm. And as long as you're targeting the SCVs, you're happy with that trade every day of the week. Wild stuff that we're seeing. 10 supply lead at the 5-minute mark with a Wraith flying into your base. Armory's not even finished yet. You haven't even got enough money to start an academy. I mean, this is beyond champion step. Look at this. The landing of the barracks was just the nail in the coffin of like, yeah, I'm that much of a Chogosu. Deal with it.
Oh wow, the barracks landing there is just adding insult to injury. That is so rough. And the vulture comes back in as well with 3 kills there. It gets a 4th kill. Oh man, the Marine getting built here as well. He just played this out so perfectly. Coming in with the first couple of vultures, sniping down the Marines, getting rid of that high DPS. So that he could bring forward his own Marines to just bust right through. The Marines add a lot of damage, and so you're supposed to snipe them down with the vultures during the fight, but he just went in, cleared the Marines first, and then brought that army in at the perfect time. He completely won that fight. I was saying how with the addition of the SCVs and everything, and the quicker rally point, it should be pretty easy for Rush to hold on there, but Speed just smashed it. Absolutely smashed it there with perfect control and an excellent game plan going into that game.
Just wow. Like, seriously, just wow, what a performance from this guy. I can't wait to hear the translation of this interview. And this guy still, even after that win, looks pretty cool and collected like a cucumber. If he can maintain his nerves throughout the remainder of this tournament, I'm kind of getting vibes that this guy's going to make it top 8, maybe top 4, and then who knows? Maybe he could just go all the way. Like, nothing might stop him on his route right now. This guy looks absolutely unstoppable. He's playing out of his mind, Sam.
Yeah, if we can get speed in a TVZ versus Solkey, I mean, that would be incredibly epic. I think it would be so much fun. As much as I'd like to see someone like Light go up against him or Snow go up against him in the finals, having speed take him on, this guy plays TVZ like no other, and Zergs have been dominating recently, of course, with Solkey at the top. Hero also going deep pretty much every time. This player, what we're seeing right here, we saw him do some amazing things in TVT today. Just wait till you see his TVZ, guys. It is wild what he can do.
Yeah, I'm kind of like blown away. Like, he didn't even have to take a game off of Hyun. You know what I mean? Like, this is just craziness what we're experiencing right now. If he can keep up that caliber of play for the tournament, I don't know who's going to be able to deal with him. It's going to be some Protoss that dispatches him at this rate. His TVT and TVZ just look so good. It's going to have to be someone like Best or Mini that kind of find a way of like chewing through him with some optimizational play. Maybe, just maybe, it'll be a Protoss that knocks this guy out of the tournament. But so far, he looks so good. My money is going to be on him making it to that round of 8 at the least, and maybe even that round of 4 place.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be thinking the same thing, but we have to remember that this is kind of a new experience for Speed. He hasn't been in the ASL for all that long. He has made it in a couple of times, but the pressure is going to be on now. Making it through to the round of 16. He's got to go to the group selections. He's going to have to talk some trash. He's going to have to talk to everybody. And, you know, a lot of eyes are going to be on him. People are going to be placing bets and talking about his performance. And he's got to put all of that out of his mind and just play his absolute best. If he can do that, if he can just put all of that to the side and have that be noise in the background and not worry about it, then I have high hopes for this guy to do very well this season.
Yeah, no, I'm in complete concurrence with you there, saying, like, I think that's the one thing he needs to do. His palms look a little bit sweaty, but his knees are not weak. There's no vomit on his sweater yet as well. I'm so looking forward to what other games this guy can provide. If he can just somehow keep the mindset focused and not get too distracted or freaked out by the lights and the stage and just what it might mean. As you do come deeper into the tournament, the nerves do really set in for these newer guys. It's only by like the round of 16, 8, and 4 that they really start to feel those nerves, because they're like, hang on a minute, I can win. And that almost makes them play worse because they realize that they're doing well, and there's more pressure on them to perform now because they feel like, oh, this is my one time to get this ASL championship title, and that just becomes too much for their mental state for them to handle that, and they crumble under the pressure. I'm hoping that won't happen to Speed here when he does manage to get deep into this tournament.
I think we saw that from Rush in the past, actually, when he went deep and he actually lost to, I believe it was to Royal in a finals.
A 2-4.
I thought he was actually better than Royal at that time, but he seemed to put a lot of pressure on himself as well. Like, this is, I remember watching the interviews and he was saying, like, this is my one big chance. You know, my wife is telling me, like, I really need to make it this season. I need to make this win. You know, he was very adamant that this was his, maybe his only chance to get the ASL, and he put a lot of pressure on himself and didn't play up to his peak. It can happen to anybody, guys. It is so much pressure to play Brood War. Even just on the ladder, but imagine playing it in front of thousands of fans and for, you know, tens of thousands of dollars as well. It's just crazy.
Well, just to give you guys some perspective, no pro gamer plays seriously on the ladder. None of them play seriously on the ladder, and they don't even play fully seriously in some of their practice games. It's only when they're preparing for these types of offline tournaments specifically, where they really start to grind out games and, you know, hide their strategies from others by having a few select practice partners that they practice something, you know, very specific. These are the games where you see the absolute highest caliber of play. Nothing else can compare. No other online event or offline event can compare to the absolute highest echelon of play that we see in the ASL. And it's such a treat to be able to cast this for you guys. And we really appreciate your support.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. The best way I think right now to donate and to support these streams and all the other content that we're doing, Soup Duel series, KCM, and others, is to support the stream right here on Soup. That way, 100% of your donation goes towards StarCraft. So here on Soup, they're the people who put on the ASL and they put on all these other tournaments. They're the ones who are going to be collecting platform fees and that sort of thing. So you're not giving a big portion of your money to Amazon or to YouTube or to Google or whatever. You're going to be sending part of your donation will go to us, and part of your donation will go to Soup. And I think that's a really nice way to support. So if you guys want to make an account and purchase some gems and send them our way, we would really super appreciate it. Subscriptions as well also do help. And if you guys aren't watching this live, if you guys are watching it after the fact on StarCastTV, and a Patreon subscription to StarCastTV also helps us out a lot. It helps us with, production value and getting some of these other tournaments online, like the SCSL, which we also cast, Xun. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go and watch some of those casts. We've had some awesome TVTs there as well. A lot of great TVT lately on the SCSL. So if you enjoy TVT, like the ones you've seen in this group, definitely go watch that series as well.
I think the SCSL has been gaining a lot of traction in the Korean community as well. A lot more Korean viewers for that event. I think, more and more people are realizing just how much good StarCraft there is on offer. So definitely don't miss out on that, guys. And we're going to be going into the next match here. Finally, it seems. Can Hyun find some way of redeeming himself? I'm not so sure. He looked a little bit flaky in that last game against Rush, but maybe, just maybe, he can dig deep here and pull out a good game. But I'm not feeling it. I feel like Royal's going to be easily dispatching him and getting his mojo back after that speed upset.
We'll see what happens. We're getting into this game now. Hyun versus Royal. Here he is on screen. These two guys ready for action on Polestar, one of our newest maps. Ready for some TVZ, guys. Let's get it started.
Let's get it.
All right, Royal over here in the top left-hand corner. There he is, looking intent, ready to win this and go on to that final TVT of the night versus Rush. Hyun, can he upset expectations and find a way to take down Royal here, make his way into that final game? I wouldn't mind watching another TVZ, but honestly, I do want to see Royal versus Rush as well. We need to see which one of these two players is better.
Right. I imagine both of them will be a little bit rattled after their games against Speed, but I would love to see where those two stack up against one another. Who knows, though? I mean, Hyun could surprise us and pull out a really interesting strategy here that somehow deals with Royal, or Royal could just blunder as well. That's also possible. They could be a little bit phased by that game against Speed and not quite be able to execute their game plan to the same level of perfection if they hadn't got rattled in that TVT.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if that's going to hurt Royal's mentality, getting smashed down by Speed in such a manner. I think he probably feels a little bit better after watching Rush get smashed around as well. It's like, okay, well, it's not just me then. It's actually both of us. So, yeah, maybe he feels a little bit better after seeing that.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a little bit of catharsis of watching the other Terran get absolutely obliterated, and you're like, yeah, not just me. Okay, good. Going to be seeing a 12 hatch from Hyun here, and Royal just obviously going to be taking 11 racks with a wall in here. Nothing crazy, not even a 10 racks to put on some earlier naked marine pressure. So very standard styles from both players, though that Terran wall in does make it so you can't optimize your build orders very cleanly in this modern era. That's why we see some of these map makers introduce things to make that a little bit more challenging, so that you have to at least block with one SCV in that gap. So it's not so much of a cost-efficient wall like you can do on some of those older maps.
Yeah, there's that small little gap, but as long as you put one SCV in there, Should be okay. Also has those eggs there as well. Those eggs can be killed a little bit later on to facilitate some easier movement in and out of the base, which is nice. We'll see what kind of late game play Royal wants to go for. We haven't seen a mech switch for a long time. I think that Bio is back in again.
Yeah, no, I think SK Terran has come back into fashion in a big way. There was a lot of experimentation due to like the crazy Zerg issues and Zerg's just getting so great with their Defiler control as well in general. Like players like Sulky, Action, and Hero just seemingly impenetrable getting up into that tech. So thinking of new ways of challenging that, but they found out that maybe the tried and true SK Terran is the way to go. This Marine pressure in the natural expansion is really great from Royal. Nothing too crazy of an investment. Just a couple of Marines and SEV to deny mining in this natural expansion and threaten a drone kill is enough to really throw off the mineral optimization of the Zerg. He will not be able to produce Mutalisks nearly as efficiently as he wants to with any kind of early game disruption here. So it's really important for Terran to throw it a little wrench in the works of the Zerg and make it so they're not as comfortable.
It's a similar thing we see to where when a Protoss player goes for a Nexus first and one Marine comes across the map to just push away their initial probe. Oh my goodness, this Overlord is making a run for it. Oh, Hyun, can he actually make it over top of this high ground? Oh, doesn't seem like Royal has spotted that. Okay, he's going to see it now, but it's a little bit too late. Not losing that first Overlord, our second Overlord, is very important here for Hyun. That was kind of wild that he just went for it.
He's so
getting over that. He's very greedy with the Overlords. Could have been punished massively there, but he's going to be okay for now.
Yeah, he's super greedy going for those plays. It's the kind of thing you do on ladder when you assume your opponent just won't do the actual correct moves of being aggressive with the bio. Not something you want to do in an ASL match where you're pretty confident the guy is going to be very active with his army movements in the early game. So a little bit surprising there from Hyun to go for that and get away. There is going to be denying this SCV scout. There's no third base that has been scouted. So Royal might be thinking this is some kind of two base all in, despite the drone now making its way to get this on location third hatchery.
I wonder what we're going to see out of Hyun now. Is he going to try something cheesy, or is he going to try and play a straight up game? That third hatchery, it leads me to believe that he's either going to do a cheesy play or Hydralis Defiler play. You can't really get an easy fourth base from this position. So one of the two,
Yeah.
which is it going to be, Hyun?
I think it's going to be some kind of like cheesy play in the mid game, like similar to how he just made lots of Mutalisks and Zerglings. It's possible he could try and go for a fast crazy Zerg with these spawns and be okay. I don't know if that's going to be a good choice for him here against Royal. Royal's just going to get Valkyries and slap you down if you try and go for something like that. It might be safer for him to try and do some kind of cheesy play where Royal pushes out onto the map and you just dive onto him with the Mutaling and stab him. It is lifting up the barracks, which allows the Lings to get a little bit of a wraparound just as the medics are coming online with the third medic popping out. It's pretty good trades from Royal, though. With 3 medics healing, there's not really much the Zerglings can do there besides killing a couple of those Marines. So pretty Royal-sided that trade, though it is nice being able to reduce some of the bio count to make it a little bit easier for these initial mutas to start to gain their dominance. But I don't think that's going to be transpiring. We see the turrets prioritized in the natural expansion, which is where Hyun is heading. So I don't think he's going to find any critical damage with these first initial mutas.
Yeah, that was a little bit strange. You rarely ever see Lings run into the natural and try to jump on the Marines as the medics come out. But he tried it. He got a couple of kills. Don't think it was fully worth it, though. The Lings all gone now, and the muta number is not looking that great. He's starting to put together a pretty decent count, but a lot of turrets here are already done. Going for a couple of SCVs now. Maybe he can get enough SCVs to start to even things up, but he needs like 4 to 5 SCV kills, and looks like he might be able to get that. This is a pretty good position on Polestar to just start hitting this. He is going to see the Marines moving out now. Can he react in time? I don't see any sunken colonies at the front. He's really paying attention to this harassment, pulling away at the last moment. Royal's going to go right up towards the natural. He hasn't been slowed down at all.
No, and if he turns around and engages these mutas perfectly, it's going to be pretty good trades for him. He has lost quite a few SCVs, pretty good target firing. The micro for Hyun is decent enough that maybe he can avoid disaster here, but pretty good line formation set up from Royal, getting maximum surface area to shoot at these mutas as they come in. 5 of them are dangerous low on HP. One of them does fall, 2 of them on super low as well. He's going to start targeting drones. He's like, he has to commit to killing the bio. He's going to lose so many mutas for the trade. It doesn't. Oh, he's got more Marines stimming in as well. Beautiful play from Royal, keeping the tempo on his side. Now will pressure the drones, killing a couple of those and forcing them away from their mining. Hyun is in trouble. He's even like thinking about, how am I going to deal with this? I need to shoot my own hatchery to bounce some glaives to soften these up so I can get in and actually deal with this cost efficiently. Nothing is working out for Hyun right now. It's a nice idea to shoot his own hatchery to bounce the glaives to actually manage this, but he has traded out so many mutas for this bioforce, and being denied mining gas at this natural expansion for so long and minerals is really going to cost him. He's just got his 3rd gas online. Now there's not as much tempo available to him. He might just be thinking about an all-in muta play from here.
Yeah, I don't know what he can do from a position like this. Xun, he lost so much. A Hydra Den. Interesting. Okay. What do you think this is going to be for? Is he just going to try and make some lurkers and contain the Terran player? Or are we going to see him try to sit back and just play into a hive?
It might be like that game we saw with Scan versus Calm, where he just tries to get a bit of a flank with a mass flooding of lurkers. I'm not sure that's going to work out for him. I hope he does transition and throw down the Queen's Nest and what have you. It might be a little bit too slow. That he is getting quite a few SUV kills in the maze. We see that armory coming online, so it is going to be Valkyries, which are the response. I did imagine that we might be seeing Valkyries from Royal. They're just so good at dealing with these Mutalisks. But if Hyun does transition and goes for lurkers while he's getting this these Valkyries out, that's actually really favorite for Hyun. Like, Valkyries are terrible against lurkers, so without science vessel support, maybe, just maybe, Hyun can navigate this into a favorable game state. He's currently ahead on supply of Royal. He didn't actually lose that many drones, has the Queen's Nest going on at the 3rd. Actually, this is looking like an okay game for Hyun if he can just maintain this game state.
Yeah, this is not as bad as I thought, actually. Killing as many SCVs as he has, and especially just now killing all those SCVs over at that gas geyser, he's really made a bit of space for himself to do this transition. One Marine is moving around the right-hand side. That might make its way over to the 3rd and maybe cause some disruption there. But as this Valkyrie comes out, we've already got Hydra Den for quite some time. He should have the lurker upgrade finishing here in a moment and start to make lurkers. He should be able to sit back at home, just defend and get into Hydralisk Defiler without too much trouble. I thought that Royal was maybe going to just bowl him over, but it seems like he should be okay here for the time being.
Yeah, he has got this one single Marine that's on attack move, so unfortunately this Lurker Egg is going to slow it down and give more of a response time to Hyun in dealing with that. And because it does kill one drone, though, that's not terrible. But yeah, even though the Lurker timing was slowed down by almost a whole minute for Hyun, it doesn't matter. There's no way Hyun Royal can come out onto the map to punish him with how much damage those mutas did to the Bible. And now we see the lurkers finally coming up. If you can set up a hold position lurker here, that's going to be crazy. There's no vessels to scout this. So if he doesn't scan ahead of time, he's not going to have any idea there's lurkers there. The Marine is checking, but he sees no spines. They're on hold position. This is crazy. If he somehow kills his army for free to these hold position lurkers, there's no way Royal can win this game.
Oh my goodness, it could happen, Xun. Royal is heading in this direction. If he doesn't scan this high ground now, he deserves to lose. Let's be honest. Yeah. He scans
the main, sees the hive.
Oh, please. Please, Royal. Is he actually going to move southward here? He sees the mutas. He stopped Valkyrie production. He made one Valkyrie, and he's realized that he does indeed need to get into some science vessels. So at least he's going to have science vessels out here soon. And he's not pushing before he has those. Looks like he's not going to walk into these lurkers and lose his entire army. It really does seem like he's waiting for that particularly important unit, the science vessel, to get that detection and move out here safely.
No, he has got a couple of tanks he can start to push with. You need like 2 or 3 tanks to actually chew through the Sunkens quickly enough so they can't just sandbag you while waiting for that Defiler tech. The Defiler mount is just now finished, so Consumer's only just started. There is a window here for Royal to push, but looks like Hyun knows that he's shoving back. He's targeting down some of these units, gets a big bomb on both of those Valkyries and snipes off 2 of those tanks. That's a big pickup from Hyun. That's going to really sandbag the efforts of Royal to actually do anything. Oh no, please don't lose this other tank as well, Royal. Hyun is completely stopped this tank push now, and he smells blood in the water. Even going to be shuffling his units up a little bit further to this rally point area of Royal. This is absolute devastation right now for Hyun. He's in a great position. Royal's trying to maneuver around to the right-hand side, getting to the center of the board to try and circumnavigate the lurker position, but Hyun is doing a good job of tracking that bio, but with his mutas as well, shaving off a few of that and slowing it down. As long as he doesn't die to these bio units, Hyun's going to be great. He's got Defilers moving out already, but there's no lurkers at this 6 o'clock base. He might actually sacrifice this 6 o'clock base at this rate.
Oh my gosh, what is he doing with these lurkers here on the left-hand side? They're out
He's
front,
going for
in
a
front
kill
of the
move.
natural. He's just going to go in with the Defiler play. Lurkers are going to burrow. One of them does get picked off. Here's the Defilers. They will have Consume now. Throwing down the Consume, going to start to push in to this natural. This is really scary right now for Royal. He kills the third, which puts him in a decent position as long as he stops this attack. But the attack is not being slowed down at all. These Defilers, as long as they're not targeted, are going to continue to push in forward. Yes, there's no irradiate here for the Defilers. He's going to go right up into the main base. Oh my gosh. This might just be GG, actually. He's getting right in on top of this.
He was trying to block the rapid by time, but it's not enough, and he's going to kill the SCVs in the natural expansion. Royal is falling apart, and with those orange clouds of death on top of your main production line as Terran, it's so hard to come back from these positions, and he can't break the natural. There's 2 Sunkers and 3 Sunkers and 2 Lurkers set up there as well. Hyun has done a great job this game of really just putting the hurt onto Royal and outthinking him here. This is a great showing. This is crazy. Is Hyun going to knock Royal out of this group? I expected this group to be the biggest chance of an upset, but I did not think that Hyun was going to cause this much of an upset.
No, Hyun should definitely not have won this game. On paper, he's not nearly as strong. This is a pretty straight up game as well. He did enough damage though with the mutas. He's done this lurker push. He didn't need to get the hold position lurker play to actually win, and now he's got the plague as well. Oh, that is a nasty plague. Ooh.
Yeah, that's really nasty. It's hilarious that he just stood there and consumed in the face of those Marines 2 plague instead of just throwing down a Dark Swarm to be safe as well. Hyun is actually playing pretty good right now. It's kind of crazy that an ASL champion is about to be knocked out by Hyun in the round of 24 group stages because of how well Speed played. This is absolutely wild stuff. We see him finally batting back these lurkers in the main base. Now, Terran can do a lot with just 1 base of economy. You can produce a 4 barracks and 1 starport consistently with just 1 base economy. So it's not like Royal's out of the game necessarily, but not being able to mine in your natural expansion is really terrible when there's Defilers outside. So I don't know if this is going to be a tenable position for him to hold. He's trying to get down the ramp with some SCVs to mine and maybe body block, but it's not going to be enough. I think Hyun has just barely got the prerequisite amount of units to get the winning move here. This is insanity that we're seeing right now, that somehow, some way, Hyun is going to be knocking out Royal from the round of 24. Who would have thought that Royal was getting knocked out today?
Yeah, it's hard to believe, Xun, and we're going to see a big plague here too. Ooh, that plague.
That's crazy.
Lining them up, shooting them down. Look at all the Defilers coming across the map. Even with just 2 bases mining, just 2 gases here, it's going to be enough. These vessels are now getting super low, and that's really the last thing that Royal has going for him, is that he's got a bunch of these vessels. Oh boy, he's almost going to kill that command center. It does live. He's going to send out a drop. Yeah, he needs to repair those vessels, because if they all die, then the Defiler push is inevitable. He's just going to keep pushing, and there's nothing that Royal can do about it. He has to get out here, start to throw down a bunch of irradiates, and don't lose these vessels as well.
these two Mutalisks could reign supreme. They just need a few Mutaglaive bounces on that Science, but he's going to start finding them now. Oh, this is so painful, losing like 4 or 5 vessels in quick succession to those Mutalisks. I mean, he only has 2 hatchery worth of production, or 3 hatchery worth of production to work with, so there is some hope that Royal can stabilize in his natural expansion, but he's lost so much. If he, maybe this dropship can get some damage done, but Hyun scouts it. Hyun is not going to be caught off guard by this, has 2 Scourge in hot pursuit, going to easily be cleaning this up. Really well played from Hyun. He's not necessarily cleaning up the game efficiently here, but he is doing enough to keep Royal on the back foot. Even a Mutalisk kind of harassing the SCVs that are trying to mine and disrupt the small trickle of income that Royal does have even further. Currently even on supplies, indicating still a pre-Hyun favorite game state. If he can just somehow close out this game, it's going to be absolutely insane. What a group stage we've had today, saying you never know what you're going to expect in ASL. He has enough energy to plague as well. He's pre-splitting his bioforces to mitigate the full effectiveness of that spell, but it doesn't really matter. He should have enough Mutalisks, Lurkers, Defilers, and Lings here to push through.
Oh my goodness. Hyun, got to be thinking about that next game at this point, man. He's done so well here to just crush through Royal. He is getting pushed back a little bit, and there is a drop coming into the main base. Hold up a second here. Can Royal find some way to bust through? Wow, this is pure Marine. Pure Marine in the main base doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Bunch of Lurkers are going to be brought forward to deal with that here. It shouldn't kill Hyun, but he's a little bit not paying attention here for a moment. There we go. He will burrow, and all the Marines will die. Okay, Marines have been cleared, and he's here in the natural.
And he's lost one of his scanners. This is really painful. You only got 1 scan and 1 or 2 vessels to work with. It's very difficult to clear out those Lurkers in these circumstances. I don't know how Royal is going to do this now. Hyun has stabilized his own game state even more. So he's, even though he's not necessarily winning the game yet, he's stabilized his own game state against Royal. And Royal can still not mine in this natural expansion. He's about to be mined out in his main base, saying, what a wild group series we've had. I did not expect this much of an upset. I knew there would be some kind of upset potentially, but this is absolutely crazy. Even going to be taking out this vessel and these bio units for free, more or less. Absolutely crazy stuff we're witnessing here today, Sam.
4 Defilers, a little bit overkill for Hyun coming across the map.
You can't irradiate them all.
Almost spending every bit of gas he has right now on that, and he gets in with the Lurker Defiler right as the SCVs come down. Oh my goodness, big spines on those SCVs, dealing a huge amount of damage. That's enough Defilers for a lot of ketchup. I hope that Royal likes ketchup. Yeah. He's about to get some. Here we go.
I mean, this is like chili sauce with how spicy this is. There's no way Royal's winning this game. Look at just how many units are available to Hyun in closing this out. Now supplies starting to double for the Zerg. He's going to just rain down on him. These subterranean spines of these Lurkers are going to wreak absolutely havoc in the main base without enough irradiate or scans available to him. He's going to have to tap out. Royal can't believe it. He's got knocked out of the round of 24. What are we even witnessing? This is like StarCraft history in the making, Zhang.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to see Royal's salty face. He has got to be so disappointed. Oh, that is a hard pill to swallow, man. You can see his eyes are a little watery right there as he accepts his fate and realizing that he is just not at the level as he used to be. You know, recent ASL finalist, ASL winner. He's done so well in ASL recently, but he has fallen short today, and that's a very hard loss. He is going to have to go back to the drawing board, and I hope we're going to see him come back with renewed vigor in the next year, but this is a real crushing defeat, and it's going to be hard for him to overcome that.
Absolutely insane. It's kind of brutal. This is the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Round of 24 is just so insane with those best of 1 series. It's like the ultimate test for these StarCraft gamers. Not many people can handle it. It's like no limit hold'em poker on steroids. The mental swings are so huge. Can somehow Hyun go all the way here in this final match? I don't know. I mean, he's not necessarily been performing the best, but after pulling out a game like that against Royal, I'm starting to think anything can happen. We could have the most craziest upset of all time and see Hyun and Speed advancing, which would be wild, Sam.
Yeah, just crazy. If that is the final result, I don't think anyone put that down on their prediction card. That Hyun and Speed would get through is just way out of left field. Big upset so far with Scan getting through and now Speed, but if Hyun gets through, my goodness, it's gonna be a wacky best round of 16 for sure, with a bunch of new faces or a bunch of unexpected faces for sure, and a lot of kind of mainstays already getting knocked out with Rush and Royal. We still have to see this last game though. Rush is a beast in this matchup, and I think he is on a better level currently than Royal. Like he is playing more like himself than Royal is what I'll say. Like he has
Right.
been practicing really, really hard, and we've seen him perform very, very well in a lot of these other tournaments. He's been crushing in the SDS, in the KCM, so on and so forth. So probably going to give Hyun a much more difficult time than Royal just did.
Yeah, he's already played against Hyun, has been able to take him out once. He's going to be feeling confident going into this final match, but I don't want to take anything away from Hyun. Maybe he can play exceptionally well against Russia after finding some confidence, knocking out Royal. Anything's possible in the ASL. It really is the most spectacular of tournaments in all of gaming history. Nothing really compares to it. The level of play that's required just to get into the tournament is absolutely insane, and let alone the actual craziness of this round of 24 with the best of one series, the ultimate trial by fire for any gamer on the planet. And that's why players like Flash are held in such high esteem, because they've come such a long way and had to deal with such craziness to be able to get to those levels to begin with. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you have to be like torched and brutally murdered for years and years by the other pros that have figured out your style. It takes such a long time to hone yourself, but that's the thing, is that you're not necessarily being beaten up, you're being honed. They're like, you're treating like the players like blacksmiths that are hitting you and shaping your sword to be sharper for the future, and eventually after enough hits on the anvil you can suddenly start to slash back and take out some of these guys.
Is this the best tournament in video gaming history? I think you could also make an argument for the OSL or MSL, those historically amazing tournaments of the past, but ASL stands on those shoulders, the shoulders of giants, and it reaches new heights, is what I would argue definitely the best thing out there right now. And that's why we're so excited to be casting this for the first time ever. Xun and I together here on this season of the ASL. Thank you to StarCastTV for hooking that up, for making this a possibility. It's really a dream come true. I said it last cast, I'll say it again. It's like Christmas here, but it lasts for 2 months, and we've been good boys for about 5 years.
Yeah, we've been really good boys. I mean, I've definitely changed my ways in more ways than one to make sure that my karma levels were high enough that I could get this opportunity. And I'm so grateful for it, guys. I feel humbled by this experience. It's so fantastic to be able to bring you guys these games. I've not been more excited. I couldn't even sleep last night. I was just in bed with my eyes just wide open, like a kid waiting for his presents on Christmas morning. I just couldn't sleep, Sam.
Yeah, I know exactly the feeling, Shun. I've been watching this since the first season of ASL, back when Shuttle was dominating. He was one of the few players who continued to play even during StarCraft 2. That was when I finally started coming back to StarCraft 1 after being burned by Heart of the Swarm, and hearing that the Remastered was going to be coming out soon. I started getting back into this amazing game, and I haven't turned back. I haven't missed a single day of ASL since then, and it's been a joy. Every single season has been absolutely awesome, and so far this is shaping up to be one of the best seasons of all time. These first two groups have been unforgettable, Shun.
Oh, really? It's like been an absolute blast to cast these. And yeah, it is a dream come true to bring you guys these games. So we are both super grateful to all of your support. And in just a few seconds, we've got our final match of the evening. It's going to be the rematch from game number 1, Rush versus Hyun. I'm so stoked for this. Who knows? We might see an upset of epic proportions and somehow Hyun joining Speed in that round of 16. What a crazy world that would be.
Yeah, that would be La La Land. That would be another dimension of StarCraft. Here he is, Rush, spawning on stage now. There he is. He's ready to perform once again. Just got to take out Hyun for a second time here. He's done it once. He should be able to make it happen again. But Hyun, after taking out Roll, he's looking confident. He's ready to get his revenge here. Must have a new, renewed sense of vigor, a new game plan, another way to take down Rush. It's a different map. It's a different game, a different part of this series. Can he bring the heat, take down Rush in this final game, and secure his spot in the round of 16? It's hard to imagine him making that happen, but we'll see if Rush can keep his head on straight, if he can perform at his best. I can't imagine him losing if he's able to perform at his highest level today.
I mean, you'd like to think so. What's that he's got there? A little chocolate there. Is there something in there? Something to help you play better, buddy? Is that a little Ritalin inside that chocolate? He's going to need
sugar
it
boost
in this tournament.
Maybe replenishing those glycogen levels here. Just spamming out his keys here, getting ready for this game. We're about to jump into it. Rush versus Hyun. Let's get it started.
Let's get it, boys.
Looks like Radeon for our final map. Big old map. Are we going to get cross spawns? Here it is.
Yep.
Rush versus Hyun. Oh my goodness. Cross spawns it is.
Okay, this is going to be fireworks. It is a very long rush distance.
Oh my god.
No. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Saying he's going to 4-pull. He's going to put his tournament life on a 4-pull. This guy is crazy. Crazy. It's cross map as well. I got a feel for him on the cross map. That's kind of brutal RNG. This guy's got balls of steel to 4-pull right now. I kind of respect it, Sam.
if maybe it's balls of steel, maybe it's he doesn't feel like he has a chance to beat Rush. Could be either one.
I don't know. I still think it's balls of steel to put your tournament life on a 4-pull, especially when cross map and Radian's a factor here. It's such a long rush distance. It's like 38 seconds to get a worker from ramp to ramp or something crazy like that on this map, cross map. It's absolutely insane. On the longest rush distances that we have available to us. And Rush isn't walling in. If Rush had walled in a natural expansion, I would give a lot more win percentage to Hyun. 4-pull does do a good job of like countering a bit of a greedy play from Terrans when they try and wall in the natural expansion, but with Rush playing like this and putting his buildings normally, there is a chance that he just squeezes out a marine and just does a little ring around the rosy, keeps the marine alive, builds a bunker near the mineral line, and he's suddenly fine. So yeah, but the thing is that the cross map scout just maybe Rush doesn't find this quick enough, right? Like if he doesn't find the 4-pull quick enough and somehow the drone scout sees the SCV, he knows where to send the links, this could work out for Hyun because the SCV is going to bump into this drone in a few seconds here out of the way to the northwest quadrant of the map. The links then will probably know, okay, you must be top right unless you cross map scouted. So he can send these links straight to Rush.
Oh gosh, yeah, he is going to get that scout, and he will send the links straight across the map. It is still such a long rush distance, though. And here comes the SCV through the middle of the map. He's going to spot this in time. I think he pulls all the SCVs to the ramp, and he should be okay. Yeah, he's going to pull a bunch of SCVs here. He sees it coming. I really hope that Rush wins here. I don't want to see the look on his face if he loses to a 4-pull and loses his tournament life. Oh my goodness. Okay, he's pulling back. He's got the bunker. He's got the surround. He just needs to get that marine in there. Oh, the marine! The marine! No! The marine! Oh my goodness! Not like this! Not like this!
Are you kidding me?
Oh,
are you kidding me?
Code
is helping out as well. He might get the other marine. He might get the other marine. Oh my gosh, saying this is absolute craziness. He has got a lot of SCVs though. He needs to micro these SCVs perfectly so he doesn't get too many shaved off. I think he will just barely still be able to do this. Kind of crazy that he's lost 2 marines already. The other one's about to pop out. He should be able to get this to the bunker safely. Rush has done done it, I think there's no way he can win the game from here. A 5-pool, you can kind of transition, but a 4-pool, you really can't. So I feel like he's done it. Even though he's going to get a few SCV kills here, I think that Rush has just barely done it. That was kind of crazy they got 2 of those Marines caught, but SCVs are just too good with 60 health.
Yeah, the 4-pool, I mean, there's a reason why it doesn't get used very often. He was hoping for like a CC first here, something like that. But Rush doesn't need to do that. He is such a strong player. He can play from a normal opener with a barracks on high ground and be totally safe. Maybe if there was a wall or something like that, he might have lost it. He looks emotional right now, but weeping happy tears, not sad tears. If he had lost this, it would have been the opposite.
Yeah, that's kind of a little maybe a sigh of relief there from Rush. That would be a really crazy way of losing by getting all of your Marines sniped, and you can never get one in the bunker, and then slowly but surely getting your SCVs chipped away. That's possible. It can happen to the best of them. As long as you pull enough SCVs and micro well, you should be able to close out the game against 4-pool. It's such a weak build these days with how much the game is mapped out and how much they understand how to respond to it. Everyone's just so good at defending. Rush is going to be joining Speed in that round of 16. This is a much more restore to normality here. I really didn't expect that Hyun would be able to break through, but he almost made it look possible.
Yeah, I wish he would have played a more straight up game. That's a little bit unfortunate, but I'm glad to see Rush was able to defend, and he's going to keep himself alive in this tournament. I think the tournament is better off with Rush in it. Truly, having him go deep is a better result. It would be nice to have the story if somehow Hyun managed to win this game, but I didn't want to see him win like this. This is a little bit rough. Yeah. Glad to see Rush go through. Super happy to see Speed go through. A little bit sad for Royal, but oh my gosh, is he going to kill a drone? Okay, he almost killed that drone. That's funny. He was dealing damage to the drones back at home, so there was really nothing back there for Hyun. He even pulled that one drone across the map to try and help. So 3 drones, he can barely even make lings at this point. He's just at the absolute edge of, production, like barely making anything, and he knows that he is done. So he has to leave this game. Rush and Speed make it through. Oh my goodness, an excellent day of StarCraft, Xun. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think I could have hoped for much better, honestly. This group has gone absolutely insane. A little bit of an upset, like I predicted before the tournament. Not so crazy that Hyun also broke through. This is a much more expected upset of just Speed being able to breach. But, I mean, it's kind of wild that Hyun knocked out a Royal, though. I don't want to take anything away from that performance from Hyun. That's an exceptional feat from him to be able to knock out a championship tier player, despite then getting knocked out against Rush. Royal's definitely not going to be able to live that down for a long time. Very crippling to your mental state, I imagine. But really big respect to Speed, playing absolutely out of his mind this group. Definitely the dominant player today. Really happy for him. My heart definitely was on him for winning this group, even if my head was telling me that Russian Royal were going to be making it through. So I'm super happy about that as well, saying I would love to be hearing what this guy is saying right now, but even if we did have the sound on, I don't speak good enough Korean to even begin to dissect it.
Yeah, you can always check that out in the Artosis cast, the Tastosis cast that comes out a little bit later. Come out in a few days, or maybe in about a week. Within the week, I'm sure they'll be uploading those, and they have that professional quality where they do all the translations as well. So you guys can check that out. This has been a lot of fun, guys. Casting this for you live is an absolute pleasure, an honor. It's been a lot of fun, and we can't wait to do the rest of these seasons. So stick around, like the channel, guys, like the SCTV EN videos, and follow the channel, and that way you will be updated whenever we go live. There's so much good content aside from ASL coming out on this as well with the Soup Duel series. That's where we play, where we have best of 7s, 5 days per week with some of the best players in the world. Just like earlier this week, we had Light versus Soulkey, which was an absolutely epic matchup. So definitely go check that out. Go and check out the StarCastTV channel if you missed any of these games. The VOD for this will be out on that channel a little bit later on. And of course, there's the SCSL on that channel as well. That is a lot of fun to watch. Support everything that we do, guys, through either Patreon, SC, or the StarCastTV Patreon, or by supporting the live stream here with gems or with subscriptions. Guys, we love you. We had a lot of fun today. Anything else you want to say, Hyun, before we sign off?
I'm just really happy to be here and able to bring you guys these games. We really do support. I really do appreciate all of your support that you provide us. We will continue to bring you these games in the years to come. And I imagine that Saiyan and I are going to be having a blast while we do it. There's so many events that we're going to be bringing to you guys. The ASL, KCM, SCSL, the SDS, Dual Series. It's crazy the amount of content we've got to bring to you guys. But we're going to be here for a long time bringing it to you at the best of our ability. We're going to be pouring our absolute A game into each cast to make sure it's as exhilarating for you watching as it is for us casting every single time. And I can't even wait to begin the next day and see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to do our best to get the in-game sounds in here as well. It's not really up to us, though. It's mostly up to Soup when they end up giving us the access to the Clayton stream. But if there's anything that's gone wrong with this cast in regards to quality of the visual or whatever, just let us know in the comments section, and we'll try to do our best to continue to improve over time to make this the best possible experience here in the ASL and throughout all of our different casts, guys. So we appreciate you, and we will see you tomorrow for Group C. That should be a lot of fun. What do we have for Group C, actually? Can you pull that up?
Remember what Group C is. I have to quickly bring it up. Bear with me 1 second here. What do we have? Let's have a look. Oh, Group C, we got Best Mind, Barracks, and Alone. That's true. That's true, by the way, from StarCraft 2 Alone. If you're not recognizing that ID. Barracks is a very high-level mechanics-orientated player. Mind, an absolute brain box of a player, super genius style play. And Best is one of the best, pun intended, guys to follow if you want to learn how to play Protoss. Study this guy, especially in PvT. He plays with such strong fundamentals and always seems to like make attacks work that shouldn't. That's going to be a really blast of a group to cast, actually. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. I love Mind and Best. I would love to see those two go through. Barracks, though, has been playing pretty out of his mind recently. His Terran versus Terran is also a lot more solid than it used to be.
Oh, yeah. That group of death. Group C. I had that marked as a group of death for this round of 24. It is nasty. Nasty group. So many great players, so many people we want to see go through. We've got that wild card in there as well in BTS, aka Alone, aka True, the old or the StarCraft 2 player who's made this transition. There he is on the screen. I'm not sure what his Korean name is, but it's BTS is his initials for his Korean name. So also known as Alone, also known as True. But here he's decided to go with BTS. He's going to be playing up against Best first. That's going to be a very tough matchup. But BTS is unknown. He's a wild card. Maybe he can bring us a really great game versus Best. I can't imagine he's going to get an upset, but there's always that possibility in a best of one. Then we've got Mind and Barracks for that TVT. Barracks is at the absolute pinnacle of his game right now. He has been being trained by Light for a long time, and he has finally reached that level. He is at the very top level in TVT, especially. He is doing very, very well in the SCSL. Watch out for that game, guys. That one's going to be a banger. Mind is so smart. He's so good at TVT and thinking his way into a win. But Barracks is just so fast. He's so modern. He's so good. I don't know if Mind can take him down. We might end up seeing Barracks be the one who advances first. That is a serious possibility. My money is on Best and Barracks making their way through, but we never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And just again to reiterate, that BTS guy is True from StarCraft 2. He has kind of used an ID that he hasn't really used before, so it may be a little bit confusing to some of you guys. But he was a very potent StarCraft 2 player. Also going by the ID alone, he may be able to perform this time around and have a good showing. He's definitely a wild card, though. Not really sure what to expect from him. We'll have to wait and see. But my money is definitely going to be on Best and Mind making out of this group. I think Barracks could take out Mind in that Terran versus Terran, but who knows what will happen.
Yeah, this is going to be a super fun day of StarCraft, guys. Definitely tune into that. Tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time. We'll be here, and we hope to see you there as well. That's it. The broadcast is over. See you guys tomorrow.